Your morning just got more interesting. Distilled and barrel-picked for your listening pleasure. Bo Bishop, a local sports media legend. What William T. Sherman was to the Union Army, he is to Northern College football. A husband, a father, and middling youth sports coach. He's friends with Central Ohio sporting royalty.
Talking to Ohio State Athletic Director Ross Bjorken. Coach Day walking on with us right now. Good to see you, buddy. Good buddy Austin Ward. My good buddy Tim May, the Tim May Show. The great Doug Lavery's joining us.
Hi, everybody. Dom Tiberi here.
Oh, Reese came in and he handed me papers.
Yeah,
and then he said, "You see that button? That's the only button you need to worry about. Don't touch. There's 8,000 buttons in front of me." Oh, I didn't know what he was talking about.
The one that says on.
We blew the budget on this imaging, and only two guys answered our ad on Craigslist. Ryan Baker and Eric Reeser. Act accordingly. You're now listening to Bishop and Friends.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for over 75 years.
All right, let's do it live on a Thursday edition of the program. Man, I either I'm deaf or Mike is. I think I'm deaf.
Well, it's Bone. Mike is deaf because sitting over here.
Well, wasn't
headphones...
Mike Bennett just in here?
Oh, that's true.
So I think it's me.
Yeah.
I think I'm deaf, and Mike's peak. He's still peak of his powers. I think it's me.
I think Beam's also deaf because every morning I got to come in here and adjust.
Yeah,
just a little.
You wonder about that when you do this for so long. Like, did you all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, but over the course of years, that you got buds in your ears? Now this works for my wife when she's asking things of me. And I didn't hear. I didn't hear it. That's usually the way that goes. All right, let's see. Oh, there we go. Now we're talking.
Can you hear me?
That's
all right.
No, I need to. It's your own. You want to hear? I want to hear.
That's true.
Hear myself talk to myself. Doing it live on a Thursday. Bo and the boys. Next 3. Paul here. 10:30 rather. Shelley time at 11:30. We got your emails at 10 o'clock. We got a little higher lower. This one, the higher lower today, is one that I'm excited for from the standpoint of I've had steak in Indianapolis, and then last night I was at a steakhouse here in town, and the juxtaposition favors us pretty well. And I think it's going to be a little bit of a controversial take. So we'll get into that. How about this morning, Gene Hackman? So dead this morning, found in his home in Santa Fe, 95. His wife too, and the dog. The wife was in her early 60s. They've ruled out foul play. So last I saw, is there anything new to that?
That's all I saw this morning. Seems a little weird, though, right? Seems
sure does.
Sketchy, questionable.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It definitely does. When you think of him, and I think of him, the relationship that I have with him, and it hits home even more so from the standpoint of driving past the Hoosiers gym on the drive from Indianapolis to here. I mean, he's Norman Dale. That's who he is, Norman Dale. And when you think about in pop culture, in movies, in television, on a very short list of the most effective portrayals of coaching we've ever seen. One of the most lasting portrayals of coaching we've ever seen. And it was a role that the whole time they were making that movie, there's a bunch of stories about the making of that movie, some oral histories of the making of that movie. And one of the things that is pretty consistent is he thought it was suck. He thought it was going to be absolutely terrible, and did not believe in it at all. And it's now one of those things that he's most known for is probably that. I mean, it's French Connection. You see him in the little hat. It's definitely Hoosiers. If you're like my age, there's also a little bit of The Firm where he's kind of like a little different than what you're used to from him, going after Mitch McDeer's wife. So there's a little bit of that, but it's mostly Norman Dale. And it's that portrayal of an iconic basketball coach in Indiana that is quoted constantly. It lives on almost forever in GIF form, forever. I've gotten 50 texts this morning from folks sending me the GIF of my team's on the floor. Mm-hmm. Like I get that.
I saw that a lot this morning.
But just a little weird the way all of it went down. I mean, it's a little, I don't mean to make light of it, but it's a little bit like it's kind of the Hitler thing, right? Like we all kind of go together? Was that, I don't know, weird. That part of it's weird. So you separate that from the part of the Norman Dale portrayal, and probably the most effective fictional portrayal of based on real life, but took some liberties, of a coach that you'll ever find, and a lasting legacy in the sports world because of it.
Yeah, 4 generations, even maybe 5 generations of sports fans would have that movie in their top 5, Hoosiers. And I think my the first time, I think it was probably Behind Enemy Lines and maybe The Replacements.
Oh, yeah, he's in The Replacements, too. I've never seen The Replacements.
It's such a good film. That's
Is it
something,
really?
if you want to crack it open this weekend, Keanu Reeves is Shane Falco. Buckeye legend.
Buckeye legend,
Shane Falco.
Well, he did it twice. Point Break, too. He's a Buckeye legend, yeah.
There was a Runaway Jury I saw, maybe this was a year ago, with I've changed my ways recently, and now that I pay a company to provide me live cable, the Hulu Live thing. Again,
this is a big change for you.
We can change, right? We, sometimes out of necessity. And I found it on AMC, one of those old movie channels. He's a pretty good bad guy in Runaway Jury.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, one of the more consequential actors in American history, I would say, on a short list, and hasn't been active for a long time. Like, I want to say,
Welcome to Mooseport, I think, was the last film.
I think you're right. I think it was like 20 years.
He acted in.
Yeah.
Now, he's done voiceover work since, because the voice is recognizable by 50 years of years of cinema goers.
Yeah. Bake, what's your relationship with Hackman?
So I'm not the biggest movie guy in all this. I do remember him as Lex Luthor in the Superman movies.
Oh, my gosh.
Which is pretty crazy.
I did not know he did that.
Speaking of villain. And then, of course, Hoosiers. He was there in Hoosiers. And then he was in a film. He was like an old sugar daddy in some movie called Heartbreakers, I think.
Oh,
and he was pretty funny in that movie. So I haven't seen like all of these. I'm not the biggest movie guy, but yeah, I mean, some iconic figures he's played.
Oh yeah, I'd forgotten about the Lex Luthor part of it. I'd forgotten about that entirely. All right, so I'm driving in last night from Indy, and it's well documented my distaste for the state of Indiana at large.
I have absolutely nothing I want to do in Indiana.
Couldn't have said it better myself, Johnny Depp playing John Dillinger. I can't stand it. I'm sure that, look, I got relatives that live there. It's fine, but it feels like everything they do, it all annoys me. It all annoys me. I think we could all acknowledge that we are a major metropolitan city in the United States of America. We could probably also acknowledge that Indianapolis is a major metropolitan city in the United States of America. Between the two, you're well over 6 million total population between the two. In between, there's a town called Dayton that's got quite a few people in it, and you can kind of just do some geography and see what the next major city is. So this is a big-time traffic area. And Indiana's approach to freeways is unlike anything I've ever seen in any of the other states I've lived in. And their approach to the freeways is, yeah, they're fine. It seems to be it. They're fine. We don't ever need to improve upon them. Or if we start out improving on them, and I have to go to the Combine every year, there has been traffic. It's amazing. It's as soon as you hit the Indiana state line, the roads go to hell. Like right away. It goes straight to hell. It's Frogger as soon as you hit the state line. They do not care. It's 2 lanes for most of the way. There, you will consistently see the signs that say trucks stay in the right lane, trucks with trailers stay in the right lane. They don't. None of them
Suggestion.
Do. It's loosely suggested. I'm telling you, last night coming in, I drove what felt like 1,000 miles, but was probably about 35 miles. And the fastest speed we reached was 61 miles an hour for 30 miles in a 70-mile-an-hour zone, because it was 2 lanes and it was tractor trailers, both lanes, and you could not get around. There's nothing you could do. It was absolutely nuts. They do not, and it's that way when you're on their turnpike, when you're on their freeways. They just don't care.
There's no incentive either for them to increase or get better with their infrastructure because of how many events, just as you're talking about that, I was thinking that city has had this calendar year alone, and it is going to have as we get further into 2025. I think they had the Royal Rumble, which is a gigantic wrestling event that rivals WrestleMania in some cities. They got the NFL Scouting Combine, which I think after next year is going to go on the road. But they've also got the Big Ten Women's Tournament that starts next week, the Big Ten Men's Tournament that starts the following week. Then, I mean, obviously with Indianapolis Colts games, the Indianapolis 500, I'm probably missing other things. But just those in itself, I think, should dictate that you have more than 2 lanes coming from a populous state like Ohio and another major metropolitan area like Columbus.
Yes.
But
it's
2025.
Why do 2-lane freeways even exist anywhere in the country anymore?
You would think you're on it's John Denver driving into Indiana. It's country roads, take me home. They think they're west. It's got to be. It's the only thing I can think of. This did make me laugh. I don't know the name of the town, okay? But as soon as you cross the state line, and those familiar with the drive, and many of you probably are well aware, this was a new one for me. So that giant cross is there, right? And so whether you're coming eastbound or westbound, you see all of the signs, Jesus saves, all of those. Right next to the cross. And I don't know if I missed it. I can't imagine I missed it in previous years. There is now a building called Uranus Fudge.
Sure. That was the last thing I would have guessed.
There's signs everywhere for it.
Is it? It's got to be new.
It's
got to be. There's no way I missed it last year.
But I don't.
There's no way I missed it last year at the Combine. So you have a cross the size of the Empire State Building, and then you've got
2024. They opened Uranus 3.
So you get a sign, Jesus saves, and then the next sign is nobody packs fudge like you're.
I mean, the website's like Bobby Carpenter wrote it. It's time to spread Uranus even wider and telling about their new the new location.
I mean, it's the name of a planet. That's all it is.
Yeah,
of course.
Is so Bob.
This is real.
Bob.
Buckle up tight. We are launching Uranus directly into Richmond, Indiana.
That's the town. That's real. That happened.
Come on.
Giant. It's right next to the cross.
Well, Reese, where are the other ones? Isn't there one like Kansas City area?
Like me to tell you where Uranus is located?
Yeah.
Now I got to look through this website. Give me a second.
There you go.
Anderson, Indiana, Uranus 2. I think there is a Uranus, Indiana.
Who in the year 2025? How is a business model selling fudge?
Oh, Missouri.
Forget the rest of it. Like that's going to make it work? All right. It got dicey late for the Buckeye basketball team. We will get into that. Combine consensus happened as well. Fun little program for you. We're off and running on a Thursday. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
We know everything about you. We know you love the Buckeyes. We know you love the Jackets. We know you're wearing a red shirt. I just freaked the hell out of someone. The Fan.
Hoops fans, are you ready to score big and get lucky this March?
What's up? It's T-Bone. I'm here to tell you that Bud Light will be holding mini Hoops challenges at bars and restaurants across town over the next several weeks with one goal in mind.
To send one lucky local winner to Las Vegas where they'll compete for $10,000.
Take your shot at March Madness glory. This week, join Bud Light on Friday night as they take over Scoreboard on Troy Road in Delaware. The Fan and Bud Light will be there from 7 to 9 p.m.
And they'll have a mini Hoops basketball challenge that'll give you a shot at a Vegas trip and $10,000.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car can be picked up as soon as the next day. Receive a tax deduction and vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Get eco.
ECO.
Hey, Aaron.
Hey, Jerry.
You know, as much as I enjoy being a professional inventor, a few of my dream inventions still elude me.
Oh, yeah? Like what?
Well, the bruiseless avocado.
Ooh.
The unlosable TV remote.
Could change the world.
And for you, Aaron, the uncloggable drain.
Get eco.
ECO.
Until you crack it, Jerry. You know our 93 or free drain clearing offer is the next best thing.
Okay. Explain yourself.
Get eco.
ECO.
Our drain team will clear your drain for just $93. If we can't clear it, it's free. And we guarantee it'll stay clear for at least a year, or we will clear it again for free.
Get Eco.
ECO.
We'll even send our little robot camera down there to make sure you don't have a larger problem that could cause more trouble in the future.
Get Eco.
ECO.
You think your guys could bring that robot over to my place and help me find that TV remote?
I think that's impossible even for us.
Get Eco.
ECO.
Eco, plumbers, electricians, and HVAC technicians.
GetEco.com.
Hey, what's up? It's T-Bone. Guys, listen up. How many of you out there have been diagnosed with sleep apnea? Maybe your partner can't tolerate your snoring every night. You can't stand your CPAP machine. I totally get it. But the good news is there are alternatives to the CPAP machine. And Dr. Mark Levy is here to change your sleep and your life. Trust me, your spouse will thank you later. Dr. Mark Levy can customize an oral appliance that opens your airways, helps you breathe better, and, of course, stops your snoring. That's the main point. It's quick and comfortable and an alternative to those bulky, loud CPAP machines you always hear about. For over 15 years, Dr. Mark Levy has led the way when it comes to treating snoring and sleep apnea, and now he's expanding his practice to better serve his patients with a brand new location in Marysville. I love Marysville. If you're snoring and not sleeping, you need to call Dr. Mark Levy's office today. Do not delay. Schedule your appointment today with Dr. Mark Levy at 1-800-MORE-SLEEP. That's 1-800-MORE-SLEEP. You can also visit him online at sleepbettercolumbus.com. And now, sleepbettermarysville.com too.
Here at The Fan, we give you 14 hours of live and local programming every day. We care about you. We live and work in your community, except Bo Bishop. He won't tell us where the hell he is. Your live and local station, except Bo. The Fan.
And now, Public Education Matters with Ohio Education Association President Scott Tomorrow.
Ohio's higher education faculty and staff are dedicated to giving their students what they need to succeed. The right to collectively bargain, including the right to strike when absolutely necessary, are essential tools for faculty to create the learning conditions students deserve. Stand up against attacks on Ohio's colleges and universities.
Public Education Matters, brought to you by the Ohio Education Association. We plant trees because people need trees, and when planted in the right place, they have great impact. Trees help slow climate change, filter our air and water, foster biodiversity, and strengthen our communities. They create the kind of transformational change the world needs now. April is a month filled with opportunities to care for and plant trees. For planting resources, contact an Ohio ISA certified arborist who can help you learn how to take the best care of your trees. Visit trees4ohio.org. That's trees4ohio.org.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
We are tracking some showers this afternoon. The timing for the rain would be between 3 p.m. and 8 p.m. Today's high will be 48 degrees. Tonight, 31. Sunny on your Friday with a high of 52. Winds could gust as high as 40 miles per hour. I'm meteorologist Dylan Robichaud with your 10 TV weather impact forecast on 97.1 The Fan.
1, 2, 3. Here at The Fan is always football o'clock. Proud to be your home of the Buckeyes, Browns, and all the NFL games you can handle. The Fan. Sports conversation that's worthy of a toast, or at least a stiff drink. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
All right, a couple of updates on the Indiana freeway system. Loyal listener Chris with this. He says Uranus Fudge is fairly new, that it happened last summer. Because I would have noticed. We played lacrosse there last summer in Carmel, north of Carmel, and I know my kids would have noticed that for sure.
Right
There's
away.
No chance.
And reminded you of it.
Over and over. And yes, absolutely. He also says that apparently, this is wild, that in eastern Wayne County, they dropped the speed limit to 50. This was yesterday. The speed limit on I-70 in the eastern half of Wayne County dropped to 55 yesterday. It won't be restored to 70 for at least 5 years. This is a freeway in America. 55.
Did they say why that is?
Well, I mean, it's construction, but you don't see anybody working.
Okay.
I don't see anybody. There's nobody ever doing anything. They got the 2 lanes, and that's it. But you don't see, like, equipment. And it's not like some of these places, like you with the construction, like at least you see remnants of equipment. So even if they're not working that day, maybe they're going to get to it. There's no sense that anybody's getting to anything in Indiana.
It's kind of like 670 right here on the way into the studio.
Yeah.
They've you saw trucks out there putting barriers up to shrink the roads because they're going to do something in the middle.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen anybody working on it in like a month.
It hasn't started yet. Yeah. All right. This one from Kevin on the emails. I love the Cheech and Chong, one of the Cheech and Chong movies. There's a scene where they are in some kind of building, and one of them is looking at the window while standing on the other's shoulders, and it is said, "Wow, I can see Venus and Jupiter," or something like that. And the next line is, "That's funny. All I can see is Uranus." It does work. I mean, we're talking about. I mean, it works. It works.
I wonder when
it's undefeated.
I wonder way back when they're heading west and they're settling the west. Somebody's like, you know what? This town right here in the middle of Missouri, whatever it was called back then, let's name this Uranus.
Hold on a second. There's an actual town in Missouri?
That's where this all started, Uranus, Missouri, and that's where the Uranus Fudge factory started.
They're taking over Indiana.
Come on. All right. Buckeye basketball had to have it. Had to have it. You know, the margin is gone. You had to have a game like this. I did not watch till the end. That's 10:30 or whatever. I'm not getting to that.
Last minute was kind of all you needed to see.
So this morning I checked it out. Tied at 80.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
you're up big like the whole way, and you're tied at 80. Can you guys imagine for a second, like how absurd this is? Have you considered how absurd this is that UCLA and USC are in the Big Ten?
Wasn't really until last night trying to stay up till that 10:30 tip where it really it physically hit me. Because you do think about it, obviously, with what at Oregon or with at UCLA, and when the women made the same kind of road trip earlier in the winter, it was absurd. But last night, I think really hit it home for me in my body clock of like, dude, you should go to bed right now. It's like, no, I gotta watch this.
I agree. Last night was like when it really hit. But Bo, this is what we talked about way back when this happened.
Yeah.
They're making all these rules for everything based on football. And we were like, in these other sports, none of this is ever going to work or make sense.
No. And if you go back to, we talked about it last summer a lot. And in the lead up, it's 2 summers ago when this all went down. And I understand that, and men's basketball is a revenue sport, but in the non-revenues, this should have just been a football-only expansion. Is what it should have been. The Pac-12 should have stayed as is, as a basketball brand. You could have done scheduling partnerships. All the other sports, they should have just stayed the Pac-12, done scheduling partnerships with the rest of them, with the Big Ten. But other than that, they should have kept and remained their own. This is nuts. That basketball team, the Diebler and those guys have been out there since last Friday. It's like a bowl trip, guys, in the middle of February. And I know we're masquerading that they're still student athletes, but my God, you've been on the West Coast since Friday. Now, our weather hasn't been great, so I guess in that sense, like I'm thinking of Ronnie and going, God, it's a pretty good gig for him.
I'd say it was a good little trip to the beach, but all of them were out with the flu.
Yeah, they were all sick.
So you got
they've been sick for 2 weeks. They're like my kids.
We were talking about that last week because the women's team did this, talking about this with Matt Andrews. And like, dude, you got 5 days out there and you don't have a lot to do. You go to practice and then you hang out on the beach.
It's a vacation. He's had a good run. He got the Bahamas trip. Didn't he get a Hawaii trip?
He did.
Well deserved.
I think, did Matty go to the Bahamas or was that a Neil Sika trip?
I think it was Matty Andrews.
I think it was Matty Andrews. I think Matty got Bahamas, Hawaii. Yeah. Deserved. Well deserved for Matty Andrews. But yeah, this was one they had to have. The absurdity of USC and UCLA in the Big Ten is never going to be something that I'm going to get used to. I hope at some point that it can be reverse engineered. I don't know how, but hopefully it can, because it's nuts to take a team and spend. So last night that game, when's it end? 12:30, 1, something like that.
Around there.
So you do post game, you get a shower, and then normally you charter, so you're flying back that night 4+ hours. When do they get in? 6:30 this morning? What are we doing after being on the road for a week? So in terms of what happened on the court, it got dicey at the end, but the Buckeyes held on and got a win. How this stretch, where they go from this stretch, will be critical. Deebs was available post-game as is customary, spoke about the fact that they needed to rest a little bit after the UCLA game.
Listen, it took everything. It was against my DNA to take the day off. after the UCLA game, and we didn't go on a basketball court. We spent our time with an active recovery. I just felt like everything we had been through the last couple of weeks, guys banged up, guys sick, we needed that time to utilize the time in between to get as healthy as we could heading into this game. And you know, I thought our guys, we had multiple guys play 30 minutes, and they showed great toughness and great fight. And you just got to find a way this time of year, and we were able to do it.
Clutch down the stretch when they needed to be, despite giving it all back. I mean, they were up 14 at half. USC, as we mentioned, tied the game at 80 with about a minute left to go. So they get a close win, which is something they haven't been able to do recently. Here's Jake on being clutch down the stretch.
I wish I wasn't right, but I anticipated being in a ton of close games. And we've gotten better at those as the year's gone on. And you guys know how this goes. Probably won't be the last one. So we got to continue to execute, fix things together, be really tough defensively. And, you know, I believe in our free throw shooting.
So we've got Nebraska here Tuesday in the home finale, and then at Indiana a week from Sunday. So that's it.
That'll do it.
And then you're into the Big Ten tournament. They are going to be right on the bubble. They're going to be one of the last four in, first four out. Like, that's the way this is going to go, unless they have a nice run in the Big Ten tournament. It feels like we've been in this spot so often where you make a run. You need to win a couple of games in the Big Ten tournament, and you don't. But you don't want to go into the Big Ten tournament with that type of pressure. The Big Ten tourney starts Wednesday, March 12th. That's in Indianapolis. Shout out to the Buckeye women. Nice win last night in the home finale for them. Cambridge at 33.
She's good.
She's real
good.
Yeah. They got a squad. So that's finished undefeated at home, right? Did I have that right?
Yes, they did not lose a home game this season.
Yeah, that's spectacular. So they finish out the home schedule in classic fashion with a precocious freshman going for 33. That's a win for everybody. So nice night on the hardwood for the Buckeye basketball team.
They secure the double bye with that win too for the Big Ten tournament. So
who's the one seed? Is it UCLA?
I would believe so. It's either UCLA or USC. I'd have to pull up the standings because I know USC beat UCLA. But.
Okay, I'm not going to get used to it.
Both teams 16-1 in the conference. March 1st, USC hosts UCLA. It's a 9 o'clocker on Fox Saturday night.
So that's
for your top seed in the conference.
Big Ten basketball on Fox, USC and UCLA.
That's
where we're at. It was over at the Scouting Combine in Indianapolis the last couple of days. One of the things I said Monday before I headed over there was that a consensus would be formed. It only took 2 days, but several consensuses were formed over in Indy. We will get you the real truth on all of that coming up in 2 minutes. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, let's talk ED because millions of men experience it, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. Well, Hims can help. Through Hims.com, you can get a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. It all starts with an online intake form. Get started at hims.com/joy, and from there, a medical provider licensed in your state will determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs with options up to 95% less than the brand names. Millions of men experience ED, but Hims can help. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/JOY.
Everyone deserves a fast and reliable connection. One that helps better their everyday through the things they value most. Friends and family, education and career. A connection that opens pathways to opportunity and builds roads to a better future. At Spectrum, we're committed to delivering just that every single day. Because with the right connection, anything is possible. That's Life Unlimited. That's Spectrum.
Come cheer on the Ohio State Buckeyes men's basketball team as they take on the Nebraska Cornhuskers at the Shot on March the 4th. Don't miss out on themed games, unforgettable fan experiences, and the ultimate Buckeye traditions. Buy your tickets and gear up for game day at ohiostatebuckeyes.com.
Skyway is back at Skyline Chili for 2 weeks only. Order a Skyway today and get 50% extra cheese at no extra charge on your regular or large 3, 4, or 5-way at participating locations for a limited time.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for over 75 years. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
What's up?
What's up, man? What's up with you?
Sponsored by High Bank Distillery, home of the best blended whiskey in America. Grab a bottle or dine in at their 3 restaurant locations, Grandview, Gahanna, and now in Westerville. Drink local. Drink High Bank.
All right, here's what's up on a Thursday edition of the program. NFL Scouting Combine continuing over in Indianapolis. This thing started as this was a way to get all of these guys in one place. It was a way to get all the medicals to meet with them. And honestly, it was the physical testing. It was a huge part of it. We're going to have these guys all do the same stuff and see how they compete. At the top of the draft, fewer and fewer are taking part in the on-field stuff. And even guys who are borderline second-round guys. I mean, we heard Jack yesterday talking about that he's going to do some of it, but not all of it. He's going to save some of his stuff for his pro day. Most of them do the pro day stuff and put the onus on that versus the combine. However, there are still a bunch of really critical things that happen over there. And as it's transitioned primarily away from, hey, let's get all of the guys who are draftable over here and look at their measurables and all of that, it's transitioned into the business of the NFL happens and gets done over there. So the other thing that I mentioned on Monday was that consensuses would be built. So let's take a look at some of the consensuses that I think have already been locked in this week at the Combine. Now, much of this consensus of thought will continue until free agency. You got a couple weeks where this is going to be how this is. And it's something that will probably lead all the way up to the draft in this first thing I'm going to talk about, which is the 2 quarterbacks at the top. So everybody has their opinions on Shedeur Sanders and on Cam Ward. And they vary. It feels like more people like Cam than Shedeur. The consensus that you started to get by even yesterday, by the time you talked to all of the NFL draft experts, was Cam is the better ball of clay. Shedeur is more ready to go. So higher ceiling, Cam. More NFL ready, Shedeur. One of the things that, so my guess is as you start to see more and more mock drafts, that will be the way that this thing goes. It is now, and I've been talking about this for 90 days here, more than, the Browns are taking a quarterback at 2. So Schefter reported that a couple of days ago. More and more people have now accepted the fact that the Browns are taking a quarterback at 2. And we'll have some sound from Kevin Stefanski here in just a second. What quarterback they take at 2 will be interesting. The other thing that will be interesting is, will they be motivated to go to 1 to make sure they get the guy they want? It is a consensus now that Tennessee is not drafting a quarterback at 1, that they're not. That their view of this is, let's get more assets. We'll drop back. We'll pick up another one. We got a lot of needs. I don't think they have a second this year. They think they have a first and a third. So they want to try to add some value in terms of drafting more players. So their spot at number 1 overall is up for auction. Now, that is not going to happen, I don't believe, and this is another thing that you kind of figured out this week. That's not going to happen until the rest of the quarterback musical chairs to shake out. So that starts with Stafford. That continues with Darnold. Where do those guys land? Those things will be critical to Tennessee's pursuit of getting value for number 1 overall.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear the discussion about Stafford, about Rodgers, even about Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
With what Atlanta was saying earlier this week, how they're going to make him just a really high-priced backup, which sounds bad. Hopefully that's not the move that they actually make for their fan base's sake. But it feels like if any of those 3 quarterbacks get traded, do they do swapsies like quarterback for quarterback? Do they do swapsies for second-round late draft compensation? Or is it a quarterback trade for a first-round pick? That's how I think, to your point, it needs to shake out first. Because and we'll talk about, the potential Rodgers for Stafford type of situation.
Yeah.
Then is any other draft compensation exchanged in that deal? And then does Tennessee look to say, all right, we're just going to take the best player, we'll see what else we can swing at in free agency? And I think there are a lot of teams in the top 10 that might go that way rather than try to get something now. Because I look at the Titans, especially at number 1. They open in 2027, that brand new stadium. They're probably good this year on having to make that swing.
Yeah. If you want to go chronologically, quarterbacks, what'll happen first? I think what has to happen first is Minnesota. Minnesota has to decide, are we giving Sam Darnold an extension? Think of like the Baker deal. 3 years, 150. He's going to get 50 a year. That's it. That's what he's getting. So are they willing to, do they want to do that with Darnold and pause on J.J. McCarthy, who, remember, had that second surgery? He had the surgery that happened in camp, and then he had a second one. They would know what J.J. McCarthy's health. They loved him. I mean, we talked to Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah in Cleveland, in Berea, when they were doing joint practices. J.J. McCarthy was going to play top quarterback for them this year. He was going to be the number one guy in the joint practice against Cleveland. So he was trending to be the starter in Minnesota. That's how impressed they were with him. But surgery, second surgery, you have the year you have with Darnold, known now what he is versus the relative unknown of JJ. How do you manage all of that if you're the general manager of the Minnesota Vikings and you're Kevin O'Connell and you're Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah? How do you handle that? So that's the first domino, I think, in the quarterback thing that has to fall. Once they decide what they're doing with him, then the rest of these things can sort out, because Darnold, and if people say, well, what about Stafford first? If they let Stafford go in L.A., my hunch is that it would be Darnold who they would pursue.
So that's what I was wondering with Stafford, because the talk is he wants a pay bump.
He wants money.
So if it feels like whoever wants the pay bump probably would want to go as soon as possible, or do they wait for what you just said in Darnold getting $50 million?
Yeah.
When you said that, I had to take a minute. Darnold, Sam Darnold, $50 million quarterback.
Isn't that
the Carolina Panthers had both of them?
Yeah.
That picture is amazing. Not only did they have both of them, they had Baker playing defensive end in practice. Taking reps
he's got
as
that
a
dog in him.
end.
Yeah. They had them both there. They released them both. They both resuscitate their careers, and now they're both playing to a level that similar to where they were drafted.
I understand if you don't have one, you're up, that creek without a paddle. But
yeah.
I just can't imagine giving Sam Darnold $50 million a year, and I feel like this is the dilemma the San Francisco 49ers have right now. Like, what are we without Brock Purdy, and is he worth this much money that he's going to be asking for? I can't imagine that, and I feel like that was kind of the Browns' position too, right? Back in the Baker day was, do we want to give him as much as he's asking for type thing. Sam Darnold for $50 million, there's no universe to me where that's worth it.
I would tell you that the Purdy thing is a little different from the perspective over there. I think people think Purdy's great. I don't think they think he's a system guy. I think they think he's great. I think his money is going to be monster in terms of the guaranteed. I don't know if he'll get to like Burrow level of that, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's in the Jalen Hurts world from a contract standpoint.
Which to me, that is just insane, because I don't even think they're in the same. I don't even think they're in the same stratosphere as far as the player they are. Like Purdy is not terrible, but when Purdy's bad, it's really bad. I mean, his lows are really low.
It's a wild thing with him. I often wonder with him, is he a product? Is he viewed in the way that you view him, Bake? Is he viewed because of where he was picked that way? Like if Brock Purdy were a first-round pick, would you view him differently?
I think it's always going to serve as some sort of regression, or you an ankle weight, something that it's always going to be connected to him, because how could it not? But I think for the 49ers, if they view him as the guy for the next 5 years, then you pay the market.
I mean, the start to his career is pretty great. As a rookie in 9 games, 67%, 1374, 13 touchdowns, 4 picks, 107.3 rating. His second year, it's 70%, 4280, 31-11, 113 rating. Now, people say it's the system. I'm sure that's what you'll say, is that the system is so good. And that could be. That's one of the things that's hard with him, is that you can't tell the real truth on it.
But if you've
because
got
that
him
system is so good.
in the system.
But, yes, and that level of quarterback play is commensurate with someone who's in that world. I mean, this year with all of their injuries, 66%, 3,900, 20 touchdowns, 12 picks, 96.1 rating. First time he's had a rating under 100. So, yeah, I think, and also, here's the other thing for them. He's a get-out-of-jail-free card.
Oh, he saved both of their jobs.
Absolutely.
Shanahan and Lynch.
Absolutely. Yeah, they
Trey Lance is looking
traded
for a home.
everything to get Trey Lance. And Lance bust, but they picked him with the last pick, and it saves it. So that deal will get done, though.
So the conversation about the quarterback and which domino falls first, you think it's the Darnold?
I think it has to be Darnold.
To Minnesota?
Yeah. I think that's got to be first. I think Minnesota's got to decide what they're doing.
They're in a good spot, though, with that.
They're in
right?
a great spot.
And I'm guessing for other teams, right, it's the simple fact of if you want Darnold, you just have to pay him. If you want Stafford, you have to give stuff up to get him and pay him, right?
You have to give up to get Stafford. The other thing is, to get Stafford, you have to give up, and then you have to compensate. I think what the L.A. Rams are doing is the most fascinating thing in the league. To take a guy who you won a Super Bowl with and say, hey, go shop your wares. See what you're worth.
Hoping he comes back less.
Right. And hopefully we can find a way to make this work and understand. Like what McVay said, that was crazy on the podcast that he did with Fitzmagic and Whitworth. That's crazy to say, hey, yeah, we want him back. They're in this transition between, it's crazy because they just won the division, of like trying to get younger while still being competitive. And they must feel like they have something. They must have another option at the quarterback position that's out there. But to Stafford to be made available, the one thing that did seem with Stafford was Giants or Rams. Like, that's it. Now, there was some reporting yesterday that added a third team to that, which then led to a media fight. We will get you the details on that coming up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
The only workplace in America to participate in the Doorknob Fart Game. And we also play office basketball and sometimes do radio. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
1877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car can be picked up as soon as the next day. Receive a tax deduction and vacation voucher.
1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Get President's Day deals all month long at Coughlin Chevrolet, Central Ohio's #1 Chevy dealer. Lease a new 2025 Chevy Trax, only $149 a month, or a new 2025 Trailblazer, just $169 a month at all 5 Coughlin Chevy locations and CoughlinChevrolet.com. Together, let's drive.
36 and 42-month leases, 10,000 miles per year, 25 cents per mile over, $39.99 due at signing, plus tax, title, and license. See dealer for details. Ends 3/3/25.
They're trained. They're fired up.
Let's do it.
When you need heat, they can't be beat. They're Ohio State's undefeated heating and cooling team. For plumbing, drain, heating, and cooling, there's only one team. The Waterworks. Better care, better value, better results. Call the Waterworks at 614-232-2222 or visit them online at thewaterworks.com. A proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Welcome to Nada Yada Island.
Next on Metro's Nada Yada Island podcast.
I almost fainted when the 4 new bombshells arrived. 4 free Samsung Galaxy A16 5G phones at Metro.
No way.
And finding out the 4th line is free. Oh, things got heated.
That's wild. Join Metro and get 4 free Samsung 5G phones. Only at Metro.
Plus tax. Bring 4 numbers and an ID and sign up for any Metro Flex plan. Not available currently at T-Mobile or been with Metro in the past 180 days.
New treatments for joint pain are here. By now, you've heard about regenerative medicine. If you're wondering if you're a good candidate, answer these questions. First, does chronic pain in your knees, hips, shoulders, or other joints keep you from doing the things you enjoy? Golfing, jogging, time with the family. Does it hurt doing the things you need to do, like getting out of bed, sleeping, working, and walking? And finally, do you want to avoid surgery and all of the pain, long recovery, and uncertainty that comes with it? If you answered yes to any of those, you need to call QC Kinetics now. Learn about exciting advancements in regenerative treatments that can give you long-lasting pain relief with no drugs, no surgery, and no downtime. Get your free consultation today. Call QC Kinetics. That's QC Kinetics. Here's the phone number.
Call now, 380-208-4544. That's 380-208-4544. QC Kinetics, 380-208-4544.
After an audit of our programming, the suits here at The Fan decided we needed more baseball. and that common man is stupid. Good news, we fixed one of those problems. Catch the Reds on the Fan all season long. Yay, baseball.
Texting enrolls you in a recurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
The team's looking good this season.
I think so. Man, I miss playing football. Being young with unlimited energy to burn. Ever since I turned 40, I just can't find that fire I used to have.
Think you could be lower testosterone?
What do you mean?
All guys lose their edge when they turn 40. The body has less testosterone. That's why I take Nugenix Total T.
I've heard about Nugenix. That really works?
Since I started taking Nugenix, I'm lifting like when we played for Coach Carter. I feel more energized at work. It's even spiced up things between me and the missus.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try?
Yep, send a text. It's that easy.
Text GRIT to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. It's the #1 selling testosterone boosting brand at GNC and Walmart. Do it now and they'll also send you a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, their newest, most powerful fat burner ever, absolutely free. Text GRIT to 42424. That's GRIT to 42424.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Want to know anything about the Fans contest, how to win, or what's up for grabs? Check out 971thefan.com. The Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
Drink recommendations, movie reviews, sports discussion, or whatever the hell Reeser does. This is Bishop and Friends.
All right, this one pleased me a lot. So yesterday at the... I know exactly where this is. This is at the Starbucks in the JW Marriott. You take the escalator up, and that's where it is. It's where the whole league kind of gets together in that hotel lobby. And that right up there is where that starts. There's a line. If you walked in there on any weekday of the Combine, you would see every NFL reporter, insider, coach, GM, some owners, all in that line at that Starbucks. So this comes off of yesterday, the report from Jordan Schultz of Fox that Tom Brady had Matthew Stafford to Montana. This is the Yellowstone Club in Big Sky. Had him there and was whining and dining him. And I'm paraphrasing, but that's the reporting that Jordan Schultz has, trying to convince him to be a Raider, which as an aside, it is still wild to me that Tom Brady is calling NFL games while being this active in ownership. That's wild. So Schultz reports that. Rappaport of NFL Network with this. Tom Brady and Matthew Stafford, like many other high-profile people, both own houses in the same ski community, and actually took a shot at Schultz in another tweet where he talked about that it wasn't some big organized thing. And by the way, of course, that is going to be what Ian Rappaport reports, because who's Ian Rappaport work for? Yep. The NFL. He works for the NFL. Now, the irony of this is Schultz works for Fox. So they go back and forth on Twitter. So yesterday at the Starbucks, and the irony of here, and I didn't know this until you guys put it in the prep, that I didn't know Jordan Schultz is the son of former Starbucks CEO and founder Howard Schultz. I did not know that.
I forget when it was that I found that out, but as soon as I saw the news yesterday that it was Jordan Schultz, I wonder if he goes into Starbucks and does he ever pay for anything? Like he's just got a card that says my dad works here, my dad owns this dealership, and he just gets coffee off the line.
I think it's like Kramer when he had the free cafe lattes for life. Like that kind of thing. Like you just get whatever you want. So Schultz is with Bleacher Report, so I misspoke a little bit. So this is now the two of them had an altercation at the Starbucks. And this is so Combine, man. The Combine is just
typical media trying to make it about them.
Yeah. So Schultz goes to Rappaport, according to Pro Football Talk. Of course, they're there too.
Like Florio's doing getting reporting on this instead of Combine stuff.
Yes, Florio's there. Guess who else is there? PFT.
Yep.
And Big Cat. They're there too. So everybody's there.
I think it was Barstool that put it out there for everybody to go like, what the hell happened?
What just happened?
And then sleuths like Florio likely went to the Starbucks and said, what the hell happened?
All right. So this is the report from Florio. Schultz to Rappaport. If you have anything to say it to my blanking face. He then said, if this continues, we're going to have a blanking problem. If this happens again, we're going to have a problem. Now I'll step back. That was the altercation that took place. And this pleases me to no end. Because this is how absurd it is. I was walking out of Prime. This was on Tuesday night. So the consistent, you go to Elmo's and then you go to Prime. Or you go to Harry and Izzy's, then you go to Prime. Or Prime has great steaks, too. We'll get to steaks a little bit later in the program. But so you go to Prime, and then everybody kind of stumbles. Prime's on the, I guess you'd say, by Indianapolis geography, far east side of downtown. It's down near, like, the basketball arena.
Would you say scooterable?
Well, yeah, it is. And as we're walking out of there, I'm saying to the folks I'm with, I'm like, there's got to be an agreement that has been made between, like, the city of Indianapolis, its police force. Like, just leave it, let it be. Because you could bust people every 10 seconds for drunk on a scooter. I mean, you're going wrong ways down one ways. I mean, everybody's all lubed up. And you could arrest people every 10 seconds if you wanted to.
We're busy next 3 weeks. Big Ten women's tournament next week, Big Ten men's tournament the following week. So I do wonder if there's let's just be there, have our presence known, but ease up on what we actually enforce.
It has to be. There's just no way. Because it's like honestly, it's like it's got a bubble over it. And everybody, the whole league is there all the way, and they all just stay in that area. I don't even know if there's a pedestrian in Indy that isn't connected to the NFL. Doesn't feel like it. It feels like everyone's in the NFL who's in downtown.
I feel like the police force has had plenty of practice with that with Jim Irsay, so they know to just, let it go. It's all good.
It's probably true. He built a hell of a Y over there, though. It's a great YMCA that he
just
built. Just
being a barista at the Starbucks at Marriott at this time of the year. Like, you already know it's going to be a long week. They're probably staffed, stretched thin.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, here comes a guy like Mike Florio being like, hey, so what happened with that fight earlier? Like, I don't know, man.
I'm just disappointed that we don't have firsthand accounts of
just
this.
trying to do the double pump here.
You were not there.
There had to be. I can't believe I wasn't either. I mean, that would have been
footage of this.
I can't believe there wasn't a camera that didn't get it.
Exactly.
And everybody walks around, especially those like insider guys. They are so coveted that week. So coveted. Like, they're more coveted almost than like coaches and GMs for their expertise. So like Rappaport walks around over there like he's king of the town. They all do. Because this is their Super Bowl. So the idea that he was confronted, I mean, it's just
what I'm wondering is, like, they've got cameras there, right? So at some point, TMZ, you're going to hear bum, bum, bum. And this footage of these two regular-looking humans yelling at each other at a Starbucks.
It's like a showdown, Schultz versus Rappaport for top insider.
Is that what they're trying to do because they couldn't get Pat Mahomes Sr. and John Rocker to fight? Like, this is the next step?
Would be lightweight.
Yeah.
Be flyweight, maybe. It very much is. There absolutely is there is an Anchorman vibe to it, like the fight. The fight's an Anchorman where they
like Mike Garafolo's got to come in and be like, "Fine, I'll do this."
Right?
Where'd you get a trident?
Rick got a trident. Yeah.
I need.
That's very much in play.
Jordan Schultz sometimes, when Jason McIntyre is out, will fill in for him on Colin Cowherd's show.
Oh, will he?
So I need Cowherd to have Schultz on to talk about this week, either today or tomorrow. He needs to have Schultz on to discuss this.
It's pretty good. If you're Schultz, you want to take full advantage of this, right? I would think you'd want to.
I'm on anybody that wants to talk. I'm hitting your podcast up. I'm going on the herd. I'm probably filming a gym session. Be like, anytime, Rappaport.
Just the idea that both Mike Florio with Pro Football Talk is reporting it, and PFT is there. Like him and Big Cat are there. Like all of that, it's all in the same place. It's the most surreal damn thing ever. So there's real business that gets done there. We went over some of those things with those consensuses that are built. We'll get into the Stefanski stuff a little bit later. The one thing I would say coming out of his availability yesterday from a Browns fan perspective, he seemed like just his persona, his attitude, it felt like he knew that they have an answer at quarterback in this draft. That's what it seemed to me. It felt like he likes them both. That's not
don't overcomplicate it. Pick them.
I think he likes them both. I think he could work with either one. He had a very very kind of confident approach with the media availability he did yesterday. And so if you're a Browns fan, you ought to feel pretty good knowing that a guy who, by the way, has won NFL Coach of the Year twice likes the way they're going to be able to navigate this offseason. So there's some positive in that. In terms of he's not going to give you anything in terms of his thoughts on the two quarterbacks or anything like that, but he did seem like someone who was very, very confident in their plan for this offseason. Do with that what you will. Second hour of the program coming up next. We start it with your emails. The mailbag is open. Bishop and Friends, right here on The Fan.
News, opinions, and insight, all before breakfast. Rise and shine with Morning Juice.
Weekdays starting at 6.
The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
At Diamonds Direct, we believe luxury is an experience and not a price tag. Luxury is expert guidance. It's the selection of 10 jewelry stores under one roof. It's saving time on endless comparison shopping, and you'll only find this experience at Diamonds Direct. Our luxury showroom has it all backed by our lifetime warranties and our signature best price guarantee. Diamonds Direct is the perfect combination of luxury and value, so you don't ever have to compromise. Learn more at diamondsdirect.com. Diamonds Direct, your love, our passion.
It's time for the biggest series of the year. Ohio State men's ice hockey takes on that team up north in the last home series of the regular season on Thursday, February 27th and Friday, February 28th. Get your tickets to this huge rivalry matchup at ohiostatebuckeyes.com.
That's are us. When dreams don't get in, that's are us.
Right now, get $1,500 off a shower or tub replacement or $3,000 off a full bathroom remodel, plus low to no monthly payments. Call 380-225-BATH to schedule your free estimate or go to bathsareus.com. 380-225-BATH.
That's are us. When dreams don't get in, that's are us.
I'm Rick Reichert. Our customers drive from Springfield, Cincinnati, even Akron for Reichert Ford's President's Day Super Sale. The entire Reichert Ford team has been working double time to stock more vehicles and slash even more prices. And we're dealing. Lease new 2024 hybrid F-150s for just $599 a month for 36 months. 0 down. Or lease new 2024 Bronco Sport for just $399 a month for 36 months. Also, 0 down. And every new Ford comes with Reichert Ford's exclusive lifetime powertrain warranty. So don't drive all over Ohio going to smaller dealers with fewer vehicles at higher prices. Reichert Ford's President's Day Super Sale is on now at the largest volume Ford dealer in Ohio at Route 33 and Hamilton Road, 2 minutes off 270, and at ReichertFord.com. Based on 2024 Ford report for total new retail sales. Cincinnati region. Leases on approved credit. No security deposit required. Ends 3-1. Come in now.
Get the right car at Reichert. We're dealing.
Build your cybersecurity skills and prep for thousands of open positions employers are desperate to fill. Attend classes live online or on campus. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation today. Financial aid is available to those who qualify.
You're invited to Circle K's Inner Circle Member Celebration. On March 6th, Inner Circle members across Columbus will get an exclusive 40 cents off per gallon from 6 a.m. until 11:59 p.m. Want to join the party? Just download the Circle K app and create an account to join Inner Circle. Don't miss your chance to save 40 cents off per gallon on March 6th all day. Sign up now. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit the Circle K app for details.
Hey, it's Anthony, and I've got a fitting personalized for you. From the moment you walk in the Good Feet store, they're going to take the time to understand your unique lifestyle, your daily routines, and most importantly, the pain that brought you in to see them in the first place. If your feet ache after a long day or that discomfort starts radiating through your knees, your hips, your back, I've been there. The Good Feet store is going to help you where you need relief and find the arch supports that work best for you. And they're working for me. I walked all over the place in New Orleans covering the big game. I was loving it. I literally was walking for miles around the French Quarter, Canal Street, everywhere, because I had my personally fit arch supports in my shoes. For more than 30 years, the Good Feet store has helped thousands of people get back to feeling comfort on a daily basis. I want you to be one of them. Go in, take the free test walk. They're immediately available. Good Feet products are proudly made in the USA on Polaris Parkway and on Stringtown Road in Grove City or goodfeet.com.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, let's talk ED because millions of men experience it, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. Well, Hims can help. Through Hims.com, you can get a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. It all starts with an online intake form. Get started at hims.com/joy, and from there, a medical provider licensed in your state will determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs with options up to 95% less than the brand names. Millions of men experience ED, but Hims can help. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/JOY.
Broadcasting from the Lindsay Honda Studios.
Honda makes the cars. Lindsay makes the difference. Visit lindsayhonda.com.
WBNS-FM, HD1 Columbus. The Fan. Sports Center.
Good morning. I'm Eric Reeser. The Blue Jackets enter Thursday 2 points back of the Red Wings for the first wild card spot in the East. CBJ are in the Motor City tonight to battle the Wings at 7 o'clock. You can hear that game on the Fan with coverage at 6:30. Elvis Merzlikins looks to get the nod in net Thursday. Jackets are going to host the Red Wings on Saturday in that Stadium Series matchup at Ohio Stadium. In college hoops, Ohio State put a halt to a 3-game slide with an 87-82 win last night at USC. The Trojans tied things at 80 with 1 minute left. Devin Royal put the Buckeyes up 3 to seal the deal, moving them to 8-10 in Big Ten play. Ohio State's back at the Shot next Tuesday, hosting Nebraska at 9 o'clock. The 12th-ranked Ohio State women's squad beat number 23 Michigan State last night, 89-78 at the Shot. Buckeyes 13-4 in Big Ten play. They'll wrap the regular season Sunday at number 19 Maryland before the Big Ten tournament next week in Indy. Breaking sports news when it happens on the Fan, Ohio sports destination.
The friends are the guests and listeners. Reeser and Baker just work here.
Back to work. Back to work. Everybody. Work, 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 work.
You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
All right, second hour here. Paul Finebaum coming up in about 28 minutes from now. Time to open up the mailbag. Hit it, fellas.
Our comment box is always open. Any feedback is mostly appreciated.
The mail never stops. It just keeps coming and coming and coming. There's never a let up. It's relentless. Every day it piles up more and more and more, and you gotta get it up. And the more you get out, the more it keeps coming in. Again.
Bishop and Friends present emails.
All right, let's start with Zach. The subject, Buckeyes Lions fan on Patricia hiring. All right, so, hey, Bo, I consider myself a pretty mild and forgiving man, but when I saw Ohio State was rumored to be interested in Patricia, I felt sick to my stomach. This doofus single-handedly tanked a Lions organization that was finally in a decent spot after Caldwell was fired, and for not being good enough because over 500 record apparently isn't good enough for a perpetually losing franchise, he writes parenthetically. He was so damn arrogant every time he was in front of a mic, and according to reports, he lost the locker room quick. Turns out when you don't have Belichick looking over your shoulder, the Patriot way doesn't work. The best thing he did was get fired, so Campbell and Holmes had the draft picks to flip the organization. He continues. Terrible play in the NFL gives you a high draft pick. That performance from a DC in college, coupled with his personality, will lose recruits and the locker room. Ohio State is supposed to be the competent team I root for. I hope I'm wrong, but I have a feeling Day will be looking for another defensive coordinator in 2026. Matt has not talked yet.
No.
Yeah. He's not required to, but normal. My guess is it'll be right when spring football starts is probably when it will be.
I'd imagine.
This is what I would say on this, Zach. Not everyone, man's got to know his limitations. Not everyone should be a head coach. The other thing I would say in regard to Patricia, I have to imagine that was an incredibly humbling process that happened, and you then adjust to that. And I'm willing to, we all are, I think, willing to say, let's understand that this guy who... pretty brilliant defensive mind. Long time ago, worked for Belichick for a long time. Belichick loved brought him back. Heck, ran the offense. Let's give the chance here. And Ryan saw something in him that he liked a lot, and that's what led to this hiring. It was a surprising hire. I'm not going to sit here and act like I thought this was on the short list. I didn't. I remember it came out like that Sunday that he was kind of in the mix, and it was a little bit surprising to see the name. But I don't know, just because you failed at being a head coach. And he is right. Almost all of those Belichick guys fell on their face when they went and did it on their own.
I think there's just an incredible football experience out of him. I don't think he's going to be doing a ton of recruiting.
Yeah.
Certainly I don't think Jim Knowles did a bunch, but there will be instances where he's got to go in front of a recruit's family and discuss, why you should let me try to help mold your son. I also wonder just the media blitz that he's done in the last couple of months. You've seen him on podcasts. You've heard him on Pat McAfee's show. It feels like there's some understanding of the past and trying to better himself as a human, which is something I think we can all understand. And to the point about him not being here next year, I kind of wonder if, as long as Ohio State's having this kind of success, if that's not the coordinator carousel we'll be doing.
Good point.
Because
it's the coordinator carousel we've been doing since Tressel was here and Urban was here. It always happens. You're always changing coordinators. Saban did it all the time. I will say this on this. Just because somebody fails as a head coach, their first time does not mean they're not a good football coach. Doesn't even mean they can't be a good head coach in the future. Just look at what Dan Quinn has done this year with the Washington Commanders, and he went back and was a D coordinator, and he was fine. And Reese, you're right on the recruiting side of things. When you've got Larry Johnson, James Laurinaitis, Matt Guerreri, and Tim Walton, I don't think you worry at all if Patricia's a great recruiter or not, because those guys are going to be the guys that are going out there and doing all the legwork. They probably will be looking for a new DC, but that's because Patricia will be back in the NFL.
Was Knowles a great recruiter? Who knows? But you got great recruiters on that staff.
Maybe he was busting out those dance moves in people's living room.
This one from Todd. Making Ohio Stadium back to the way it originally was. Hi, Bo, longtime listener, Buckeye alumni and resident of Chicago. Thanks for the work that you do and the work of Eric and the others, Bake as well. What if the University and Ohio Stadium back to the way it was in the early 1900s? Lean into the historic feel like the stadium in Canton, the Hoosiers movie court, Wrigley Field, etc. Then you have a more unique experience that's separate from watching games at home in front of the TV rather than trying to simulate an at-home experience. You could have some modern things like cushioned seats, a separate modern bathroom building structure instead of a restaurant, have local food trucks drive up outside. Would be quite the community feel. And yes, it could be cold during the winter, but as far as I can tell, Buffalo Bill fans seem to be doing all right with that. And it's really cold, would only be for a couple of games anyway. Would be pretty neat, especially for good weather games. I think increasing ticket prices would make sense for that too, especially if there's more room for people to be closer to the field and the players. That may be the only way for the team to still play in the stadium long term anyway. Thanks, and go Bucks. So I'll give him credit on this. I've never heard this type of thought to it, of like retrofitting it and trying to make it how it was with the modern amenities. So he was smart enough to put the modern amenities in there because
that's a must.
It is. Yeah, like Camden Yards almost 30 some years ago now, when that thing dropped, it was like, oh my God, this is like the feel of Wrigley and Fenway, except it's nice. That's the thing that you have to be able to do. Obviously, we made a lot of headlines last week with some of the comments that we made about Ohio Stadium and what needs to happen to it. It's really tricky, is the long and short of it. And I do think at some point there's going to have to be a bunch of money put into it, and you have to figure out what that needs to look like. And retrofying it, making it have that feel, I think there's a win to it, but it also has to have the modern amenities that people have come to expect. I just think the number one thing is it's crazy that they're all that there's so many bleachers, that everything isn't a seat back. I think the bathroom thing is crazy. The light thing, the fact that the light system, the speaker system, that was my thing when we went to the Nebraska game with the boys. It was like I could not hear the music like when they're running out. Those type of things. It just wasn't the way that it's just not where it needs to be up to standard.
I think to the retro feel of it is such a fine line to walk, because if you look at what Northwestern's going to be putting out there, there's nothing retro about that stadium.
No.
And the further we go into the 2030s and 2040s, the retroness of Ohio Stadium, that's going to fade. With the population of this city not remembering what it was like in the 80s and 90s, because it's so transient. Like I don't know if you've seen like data from the city and how it's growing. A lot. And so those people aren't going to sit there and be like, boy, I remember when you could see the concrete. Like, they're not going to care.
No.
Reese, the younger generation, I don't think they care about a retro feel. And TV, the experience of watching a game at home, especially a football game, is like no other sport. So you have got to stay modern with what you're giving in the in-game experience.
I think he's got a point in terms of like What he's trying to describe is Wrigley.
You want the magic that you
Yes.
remember as a kid,
Yeah,
or
that's
that
what
you
you want.
remember
And
in your
he's an
formative
alum.
years.
Yeah.
I certainly remember that as well, but it can't be that way in the future. Like, it just can't.
This one from Benny. Hey, guys. Love the new lineup. Listen every day. You really compliment each other nicely. We appreciate that. I travel extensively throughout the Midwest for work and always YouTube or live stream, so thank you. Appreciate Bo's stories of coaching the kids, as I have 3 under the age of 12. I'm with you, buddy. And I continue to take all of this on, which is rewarding but also slightly killing me. My wife says I should try to sit on the sidelines for a change. What started as a nobody wants to do this, we need help, has now turned into almost 10 years of basketball, baseball, soccer, football, even volleyball, which I was clueless about, and the few times trying to even be a casual assistant, then watching compete. Incompetence drove me nuts. Mix that with what I might be a control freak per my wife, then also my kids saying, Dad, you're going to be my head coach, right? I know that is always a struggle. As I mentioned, I travel a lot for work, but always make sure to never miss anything for my kids and have a pretty busy social life, too, as I host charity events, play music with several. This guy's like, wow, what don't you do, bud?
You drinking coffee? Or?
All right. Any feedback for this from all you guys on how to go forward? As I've already been asking for spring, summer, and fall sports, but not only my kids, but other parents that have enjoyed the energy and experience I bring. Thank you for all that you do each show. Wow. This is what I do. I take spring off. So, yes, there's frustration with that because sometimes you look at... Now, the good thing is my kids play lacrosse, and I didn't know anything about it. So it would be absurd for me to try to coach lacrosse. Would be absurd. So I don't. So I sit on the sidelines. And I will tell you that it's nice... Sometimes it's frustrating, and for the reasons that you say, sometimes it's frustrating, but at the same time, it is nice to not have to do it all the time. And so what my advice to you would probably be is pick the 2 things you like the most and do those. That maybe the 2 sports your kids love the most and do those, and sit the other one, and sit one out. Sit one season out. I think you'd really recharge with that. That's kind of my feel on that one.
Like, pick your least favorite and maybe don't do that, because you can't find yourself with the 3 sports to be looking forward to when they get into the middle and high school ranks and they no longer have to coach.
Yeah.
Like, it does feel like you don't want to fall out of love with something. It's like a job. You get burnt out and you dread it, then that takes the magic away, like we talked about. Yeah.
Sometimes, unfortunately, you got to say no in life. You got to have some boundaries for your own peace of mind. And, Bo, it's always baffled me, and you will understand this as much as anyone, how many people they get into coaching youth sports and they get into coaching one, and then all of a sudden, hey, we need a golf coach.
Absolutely.
Do you think you could do that? Hey, we need someone to coach this softball team. You think you could do that too?
I have absolutely been asked to coach lacrosse.
How hard can it be? Very.
Yeah. Here's the other thing I would say to you. I do think it's important that your kids hear other voices other than your own. I think that part of it. So that'd be my advice. Sit one of them out. I'll answer a couple. I won't read the emails. Greg wanted to ask, our good buddy Greg from Bodkins wanted to ask if it would be good for him to take his kids to the combine. No, it's not a combine. It's not. My wife asks me that all the time. It is not something the kids would get anything out of. It's not a carnival of the NFL. It's business. There's really nothing for the kids to do. They don't have like that type. Maybe they will on the weekend, but I didn't see anything like that.
Let's say yet, and then maybe when they move it to different cities, they bring like an NFL fan fest that you can do Tuesday through Friday.
I see no scenario how they ever move it from Indy because it is such a perfect incubator.
I hope that's the case.
And it just protects. They just protect the NFL. They protect the shield at all costs. One other one that I thought was pretty funny. Lowell Franco. I guess I've read a couple of his emails through the years, but he was very impressed that I pronounced his name Lowell correctly. And he referenced Wings, which is a tremendous.
Great show.
Do you remember Wings?
Underrated show.
AR loves it too. He and I used to talk about Wings all the time. So that is maybe that's. He asked how I knew how to pronounce his name, and so maybe that was it. Although, he even mentions Wings. Yes, that's it.
There's a lull.
Wings was good.
There's a lull in one of my favorite movies of all time, Little Big League. One of the little kids is named Lowell.
There you go. Yeah. Buckeyes over at the Combine. Who's got a chance to make a little hay this week? We'll get into that. You'll hear from him coming up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
Unlike your deadbeat uncle, we'll never leave you stranded in a ditch when you were 6. This promo may have been a touch too specific. The Fan.
Men, this is Jeff for Tri-State Men's Health. And though I generally talk about medicine and effective treatments for erectile dysfunction and other men's sexual health issues, today I want to talk about love. Because love is the best reason to get treated for your ED. You see, ED can cause major relationship issues. In fact, men often push their partners away when ED becomes a problem. The condition can cause depression, arguments, breakups, and even contribute to divorce. But the good news is that if you're like most men suffering with ED, you can be successfully treated at Tri-State Men's Health and put a stop to the relationship stresses that ED can cause. I say this with all confidence because we have treatments that are effective in well over 90% of cases. Truly, it's likely you'll find you're performing like you haven't in years. So make an appointment and get the love back in your life. Your initial visit is just $99 and includes blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 800-900-9654 or go to tristatemenshealth.com. We have 6 offices across the tri-state area to serve you.
What does living your best nonstop life mean to you? Cheering on your team at that big game? A music festival with friends? A family vacation? Or maybe a vacation from your family? Live your best nonstop life with low fares and nonstop flights only at Allegiant.com.
Non-stop flights from Columbus to Fort Lauderdale, one way for as low as $44. Must be purchased by 4/24/2025 for travel between 3/13/2025 and 8/17/2025. Seats and dates are limited. Restrictions apply. See Allegiant.com for details.
Winter's here, and as the snow begins to pile up outside, you might find yourself dreaming of warmer days, sunshine, barbecues, fishing, maybe even thinking about those home projects you've been putting off for forever. Why wait for spring to start planning? Now's the perfect time to get ahead. With so many roofing, gutter, and siding companies out there, it can feel overwhelming to know where to begin. With over 30 years of experience and a focus on every detail, Newman Roofing makes it simple. As a family-owned business, they're dedicated to delivering an outstanding customer experience from your first phone call all the way through to the final touches on your home. When it comes to roofing, gutters, and siding, trust the name that's been a local favorite for decades, Newman Roofing. Call Newman Roofing today at 614-NEW-ROOF. That's 614-NEW-ROOF. 614-NEW-ROOF, or visit online at newmanroofing.com.
It's time for the biggest series of the year. Ohio State men's ice hockey takes on that team up north in the last home series of the regular season on Thursday, February 27th and Friday, February 28th. Get your tickets to this huge rivalry matchup at ohiostatebuckeyes.com.
Do your good-looking shoes hurt and you don't want to wear ugly shoes? At the Good Feet store, we can help you wear your heels, boots, and dress shoes again in comfort. Trade in your bad feet for good feet at the Good Feet store.
The Fan has been ranked as the second best sports station in America by our industry peers. Our heartfelt thank you is in order. But we're not doing it because we're better than that hillbilly Birmingham station that came in first. Thanks for nothing.
This is Pause Before You Play, and it's time for more game day picks from local sports fans. You're on the air. Who you got?
Actually, I'm not betting, just chilling and watching the game.
I know that move. A pause. Sounds like you've got a winning strategy.
Exactly. After I set limits and recognized the risk, I knew it was time to stop.
Now that is responsible betting, folks. Sports are fast. Betting shouldn't be. Make a plan at pausebeforeyouplay.org. That's pausebeforeyouplay.org.
The ONN Daily Podcast. Get a recap of all the day's news from across the state.
ONN affiliate WBNS TV reports.
Haley Kirby reporting in downtown Toledo.
From the Statehouse, Kevin Landers.
ONN Canton.
ONN affiliate WKYC TV in Cleveland explains.
In Marietta, Brett Wharf, ONN News.
Emma Henderson in Genoa.
The ONN Daily Podcast. Listen at ONNradio.com or wherever you download your favorite podcasts from the Ohio News Network. Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
Heading into your Thursday afternoon, showers develop. There could be some small hail or even some graupel that forms. Today's high, 48. Tonight's low, 31. Friday, sunny along with gusty winds, high 52. Partly cloudy on Saturday, colder with a high of 38. I'm meteorologist Dylan Rebishad with your 10 weather impact forecast on 97.1 The Fan.
During this 10-second promo, Rothman will lose money gambling on something.
People like you come here and blow the family nest egg that built this town.
Rothman and Ice.
Weekdays from noon to 3.
The Fan. The final full season of Yellowstone might just be Bo's dad live on YouTube. What's the difference anyway? This is Bishop and Friends.
Hey, it's your Uncle Bo here. Proud to tell you about my friends at Diamond Cellar. They know that forever starts with the perfect diamond. For over 78 years, their family has helped generations of couples celebrate love with brilliance, quality, and unbeatable prices. At Diamond Cellar, bigger diamonds, better prices. That's the promise to you. Whether you are repopping the question or upgrading your sparkle, trust the experts at Diamond Cellar because diamonds are their forte. Visit Diamond Cellar today, Sawmill Road, Easton Town Center. Learn more at diamondcellar.com. I'm actually going to stop there right after we're done here. Got a little service on the watch that we're going to get taken care of out there. Good people out there. Check them out. They'll take care of you. I promise you that they will. Buckeyes at the Combine this week. I was on with you and Tyvis yesterday talking a little bit about this in terms of who can gain the most. And talking to folks over there, the one name that felt like could gain the most was Will. He was the one. Now, there's probably a ceiling on what that can be, but I heard a really interesting thing from Dane Brugler, who we had on the program last week, and we were talking a little bit about the quarterback play at the top, and Will won't be available till a little bit later in the week, but he said that if you take away screen passes out of all of the quarterbacks, you take screen passes away from quarterbacks in this year's draft, the highest completion percentage in college football was Will Howard. That Shadur's still in the top 10. He was 74% led college football in completions. But if you take the screen game out of it, Will had the highest completion percentage in college football. So people are going to like that. They're going to like how big he is. I don't know if people realize how big he is. That
how
they're going to
fast
like.
he is.
Yeah, and they're going to like the fact that he grabbed it.
They're going to like him. They're going to fall in love with this guy.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
Like
yeah.
the idea that
Lance Zierlein said that. He said this. He goes, here's the thing. You go into a place like Ohio State and you get them to jump on your back in 1 year.
In a couple of months.
Yeah.
The way he was able to come from Kansas State, where I think his quarterback coaching in Manhattan was okay. I don't want to throw shade on the Kansas State Wildcat football program that I've paid zero attention to over the last couple of seasons. But then he comes to Ohio State in a short amount of time, takes that locker room, takes that team, gets coached up by Ryan Day and Chip Kelly. And I wonder to myself, what happens in year two of quality NFL quarterback coaching on a guy, to your point, was as efficient, made as good of choices as any quarterback in college?
Yeah.
Teams are going to love the idea of doing that. They're going to love the idea that this brick of clay was as refined as it was in one season. What can we do in a couple?
Yeah.
Now, he's not going to go and, be QB1 of any franchise. He's probably not going to go. You don't know. But this sets up for a good 10-year career where everybody who hires him and everybody who coaches him knows they can rely on Will Howard in situations.
Reese, you don't have to crap on the Kansas State program. I mean, this was stuff that Will himself said. I remember talking to Greg Fry, who talked to him last spring and saying he was asking to be coached hard because he had never really been coached singularly by himself like he was getting at Ohio State. So he wanted more of that. So I think you're absolutely right. People are going to see the numbers. They're going to see his leadership. And then they're going to see the improvement he made with Ryan Day and Chip Kelly in just one season. And they're going to be like, hey, what can he do with our guys? Because we think our guys are better coaches than them.
It's hard to imagine any scenario where he doesn't have, at worst, like a Colt McCoy, Chase Daniel 10, 12-year thing. Because here's what you're looking for if it is the backup route. And here's the other thing I would say. There is no way of knowing. There are no sure things. There's no such thing as sure things. They do not exist in the NFL draft. There aren't. If you can name any position group you want and you could say, well, he's a sure thing at this. And I can give you 5 examples of guys who busted at that or didn't live up to the full potential of what you thought it would be. At every position in the draft, there are those guys. What I think Will is, and I think this is the thing that is really, I think he is so safe. And I think he will have a very long career one way or another. And I do think that if he is in the right spot, if he ends up in one of those McVay, Shanahan, Stefanski, Kubiak-born schemes where it's built on the run game, and you're flipping your head around and you're throwing it to a spot and you're reading it quickly. That's Purdy. That's what Brock Purdy does. He flips it. Kyle schemes it up. He throws it exactly where it's supposed to be thrown. That's the job. I think one of the other guys, I think Kyle McCord had a lot of buzz this week. People liked him a lot. And one of the things that they talked about was how, like, going to Syracuse was, like, freeing for him. And he said that to teams. Like, going to Syracuse was freeing because it was kind of a surprise, and he was, like, the big alpha. And if you think about Kyle the previous year, he was looking over his shoulder the whole year. And I think he probably played little check down Charlie-ish for fear of making a mistake. Well, he didn't play that way at Syracuse. Somebody said if you put on the tape of Miami-Syracuse this year and you say which one of those guys is going to be the first quarterback off the board, you would have said the kid playing for Syracuse.
And that's what I've said about Kyle all along. Whatever it was, he was just a split second late. Whether he was questioning himself or he didn't see it, or he was questioning something or didn't see it. Whatever it was, he was just a split second behind. The arm talent with him was always there.
Always.
It's incredible. Like, the legacy of Kyle McCord hinges upon one Mississippi. Mm-hmm. That's it. But I agree with you, and the idea of him being an NFL quarterback, I didn't really have any question about. I'm interested because Will Howard had said that he's going to be available Saturday at the Stadium Series matchup between the Jackets and the Red Wings. They've got on-field workouts Saturday, March 1st. How early do those start? Like,
quarterbacks are usually at night.
Oh, okay.
Because in the old days, they would put them in prime time. They put quarterbacks in prime time.
I wonder if he just needs to do the interviews, because they're supposed to talk. The quarterbacks are tomorrow. Looks like they've got media and team interviews. If he just does that and says, I'm good with the workouts until Pro Day.
Yeah.
Because I think part of one of his NIL deals was to be here Saturday. They're going to have like 50 members of the national championship team at Ohio Stadium for this. And I was mentioning to Tyvis yesterday, you had Caleb Downs as a matchinator for the Crew. They won that game. When the team returned to the Schottenstein Center with the championship, the basketball Buckeyes actually won that game. So having, the national championship, at least some of that juice, that could help.
Yeah. I love that the NHL is leaning into it. We'll talk about that in the third hour of the program, but I love that they're leaning into all of it. This got a chance, and the weather looks like it's going to be so-ish okay. As long as it doesn't rain, I think we could be all right. But yeah, the one thing I would say, I'm also really happy for Quinn that he's throwing. Remember we said that Monday. We said if there's one guy who could benefit from throwing, it's probably Quinn, because he's always been able to do that. He's always had a hose. Unfurl that sucker and let's see what's happening. That made me happy to hear that he was going to throw over there. But I think Will has a great chance. I think so many of these guys are safe picks. A lot of positive stuff on Donovan Jackson, Lance Zierlein, who's like the NFL offensive line draft guru. He said that just wowed him. Not just how well he played, but if you draft him, you say, all right, we're drafting a guard, but he can bounce out if we have injuries. And that's such a critical thing when it comes to the draft. So I think they'll have a chance to challenge that Michigan record of total guys drafted. Paul Finebaum in 2 minutes, Bishop and Friends, right here on The Fan.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Giant Eagle is making it easy to surround yourself with savings on hundreds of items every time you shop. With new low prices, deals for days, weekly sales, and My Perks at your neighborhood Giant Eagle. Visit GiantEagle.com for details.
1877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1877 Cars for Kids.
today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car can be picked up as soon as the next day. Receive a tax deduction and vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Come cheer on the Ohio State Buckeyes men's basketball team as they take on the Nebraska Cornhuskers at the Shot on March the 4th. Don't miss out on themed games, unforgettable fan experiences, and the ultimate Buckeye traditions. Buy your tickets and gear up for game day at ohiostatebuckeyes.com.
The Fan Guest Hotline is sponsored by Accurate Heating and Cooling and Bryant, doing whatever it takes to keep you and your home comfortable. The Fan. Bishop and Friends present college football's most polarizing figure.
Hey, Paul, how you doing? Come on back to our show, Tim. The audience hates you.
This is ESPN's Paul Finebaum, sponsored by the Roofing Guys. For all your roofing, siding, and gutter needs, contact the Roofing Guys at theroofingguys.com.
Every single Thursday at this time, we visit with our good buddy Paul Finebaum, the Paul Finebaum Show on ESPN and SEC Network on the Bryant Heating and Cooling Systems Fan Guest Hotline. Paul, thank you so much for taking the time. Have you ever been in your old years or in previous years ever been to the NFL Scouting Combine?
Bo, I'm proud to say no. It has never been on my bucket list and never will be.
You have that correct. As someone who's gone the last 10 years, it is you. That's the correct take. There's nothing you need to see there. What I was curious about, though, is from the front row seat that you've had to major college football for the majority of your career, are there some guys who come to mind, especially at the quarterback position, who the way that you viewed them in college, you thought, well, that will absolutely work in the NFL, and it didn't? And conversely, are there guys at that position or others that you thought, I just don't see any pro future for him, and then it worked?
Well, I mean, I think the two most famous busts that I thought had a chance were Tim Tebow and Johnny Manziel. I wasn't 100%, but I thought they would at least be serviceable. Instead, they were arena league likes. Please don't tell Tebow I said that.
Our secret.
But the one that in recent, I mean, these two Alabama players that I followed very closely, Tagovailoa and Bryce Young, to me looked like can't miss. Tagovailoa, at the time he played, I had coaches telling me they have never seen anyone like him, and I've yet to see much of that in the NFL. And I think Bryce Young is still a little bit early in the game, but he has looked nothing like he did back at Alabama.
Yeah, the thing that's pretty wild about it does feel like hopefully he had some momentum, because all accounts are he's a great kid, and it seemed like he had some momentum at the end of this year in Carolina. But the other thing that happens is you have these comets, and I think of Joe Burrow. And I think about a guy who, in his first season at LSU, it came on late. But at the end of that season, nobody looked up and thought, yeah, that's going to be the number one pick in the draft the next year and have maybe the greatest single season a college quarterback has ever seen. In terms of year-to-year improvement, where does that Burrow see? That's got to be at the top of it. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because of Cam Ward, is a guy who was undraftable a year ago and now is likely going to be the first quarterback off the board.
I'll tell you Joe Burrow's story. He was on our set right before his senior year at the SEC summer meetings, the media days, and I had been on with a couple of I think it was Jordan Rodgers and a couple of other quarterbacks, and they had ranked Burrow as the number 3 quarterback coming in. And by the way, I mean I was surprised because he was that high. So when he was on set, I said, Joe, by the way, I said you were ranked among the top 3 quarterbacks in the SEC coming back. And I can't remember, it may have been, it wasn't Bryce Young, but it may have been Tagovailoa, one of his years. And he said, why at number 3? He said, I'm the best quarterback in the SEC. And I literally, my jaw dropped, because at that moment, nobody thought of him in the top really 4 or 5 or 6. And that story just was cemented into my mind the rest of the season as he just exploded.
His year or Cam's?
I'd probably go with Cam's, because I have just never seen anything like that.
Yeah.
I mean, Burrow was just so good, but he had, as you well know, 2 All-Pro receivers with him. Cam, that team wasn't expected to do anything, and it wasn't just the fact that they won it all. It was his moves. I have never seen a quarterback make moves like that.
No, that's usually my default answer. So I was curious. What do you think of this group of SEC quarterbacks? Obviously, you have Milroe, who he surprised me a little. I think there was some thought that he would end up being a first rounder. That is not the feeling I got around there, and it seemed like maybe he would have benefited by going back to Alabama. Dart is another guy. Quinn Ewers. They're all kind of trying to fight to be that third quarterback. What do you make of those three?
I like Dart the most, and I really don't like any. Ewers, to me, there's just something wrong. I love how all of a sudden it comes out that he had an oblique all year. Well, we knew that, but we were also told by him and Steve Sarkisian that he was completely recovered. But obviously, healthy Ewers maybe. Milroe, I swear, I don't know if it was Kuiper or somebody before the season said he's the number one quarterback in college football, and I've rarely ever been more mystified by a quarterback. I mean, by the end of the year, I wasn't sure whose side he was on. He was so erratic.
Oh, geez, that performance at Oklahoma is just such a stunning one, and it's weird because he's one of those guys that you feel like he could have just crushed it at NIL had he played another year.
Well, let me let you in on a deep, dark secret. I don't know about the coaching staff, but I can guarantee you the fans did not want him around. That performance after the Michigan loss, he would have been hard-pressed to get somebody to buy him a beer in Tuscaloosa. I think it was the fact that Alabama fans lost money. I don't think it had anything to do with anything else, because the game really wasn't that important to them. But it was really wild to watch the fallout on him. And now he is the de facto blame for all Alabama fans on what went wrong last year.
I'm talking to our great friend Paul Finebaum, ESPN, on the Brian Heating Cooling Systems fan guest hotline. There's been a trend the last week, 10 days of, we're not going to play spring games anymore. Now, I can't even tell you the last real spring game I was at. It was probably in Tallahassee 20 years ago, where they still kind of played kind of a game. So we've shifted away from that, but they're still up here. They're still doing a spring showcase. So it'll essentially be like an open practice at the shoe where they'll make a lot of money by selling tickets to it. What do you think is the next kind of incarnation of the spring game? Because when I hear people saying we're not going to do spring games anymore, I think, I don't know, if you charge $10 a ticket at a place like Nebraska and you get 60,000. I went to state school, Paul, but that seems to be money that's kind of free money out there. What do you think is next?
I think they turned it into a glorified fan day. I remember talking to you last year when everybody 5,000, 6,000 showed up for the first day of fall practice. Mm-hmm. I think that's what they do. It's so crazy that it was exactly 10 years ago this year. I spent a day for ESPN with Nick Saban, and we were flying somewhere. And the first hour of the flight, it was just the two of us and his PR guy. He was studying the Auburn spring game on his iPad. So it wasn't that long ago that people paid attention. But I think I don't know what you're ever going to see at a spring game. Maybe some little nuance or trend, but for the most part, what we're seeing should not be surprising. Coaches have been getting away from it, getting away from these games for a while.
Yeah, it's kind of like the moment Ryan Day tried to create last year in the spring game, which was broadcast on Fox, where he said, "Hey, watch this," and he was trying to introduce Buckeye Nation to Jeremiah Smith. And they couldn't connect on it, but he tried twice. He was kind of annoyed that they couldn't connect on it. But that's kind of all they are now is, kind of a, hey, welcome to the world moment for some of these players. What, if anything, came of the conversations between the Big Ten and the SEC? And then furthering that, what changes, if anything, will we see this year in the playoff, Paul?
I think the Big Ten talks went pretty well, although I had an SEC source tell me yesterday that nobody was happy with all the yakking from the ADs. Now, I didn't see that much of it, but you know how conference officials are. They prefer the AD. But every AD's got somebody. You know that. Mm-hmm. And whether they say it on the record or off, they're leaking information. I thought the Dallas meetings were a complete waste of time. You can read into it what you want, but clearly, Jim Phillips from the ACC, the Big 12, Mark. I mean, they were not going to play along. Now, there's one more meeting coming up, and these guys always have another meeting, of course. And I don't think they're going to be able to turn this thing around for this year.
So the question will be then, the idea will be, all right, we can't get organized for this, but by 2026, when we redo it, you want to make it the way that you want to be able to do it. I saw Kentucky playing at Oklahoma last night in a close game on the basketball side of it. The Buckeye basketball team was in USC. I'm watching stuff, pal, and I'm just saying, God, I wish we could just reverse engineer this. This just seems so awkward, the way that this conference expansion happened. Is there any path ever, you think, where you could get some regionality back in college athletics? It makes no sense in the non-revenues.
No, I don't think so, unless it becomes what we're seeing happening, where you get the two super conferences and they decide, okay, let's take in 2 or 3 more, let's take in 4 more, let's figure out which whether North Carolina goes to the Big Ten or the SEC, and maybe we'll trade you Oklahoma for. It's possible. These guys are on the same plane. I just can't imagine though it happening, because the problem is USC and the West Coast schools for the Big Ten, they don't offer anybody anything other than the West Coast. So it's not like the SEC really wants them either. No, it's so ridiculous. Buckeye basketball team, Paul, has been in Los Angeles since last Friday. It's like an NBA road trip. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. And by the way, I have SEC coaches complaining about the trips to Texas. So. Well, hold our beer. We'll match it. Good talking to you as always, bud. A pleasure. Thank you both. All right, there he goes. Paul Finebaum, the Paul Finebaum Show on ESPN and the SEC Network on the Bryant Heating Cooling Systems Fan Guest Hotline. We had Thing or Not a Thing up next. Bishop and Friends right here on the Fan.
My USPS Ground Advantage package just left the warehouse. I get all the updates. Stay in the know with USPS Ground Advantage service. Visit USPS.com/in-the-know.
The Ohio State Coaches Daily Show is brought to you locally on the Fan by Credit Union of Ohio.
This is the Daily Show with Coach Jake Diebler, brought to you by Encova Insurance. 87-82, Ohio State defeats USC here in Los Angeles. Congratulations on the win. You had to like the guts the way your team played down the stretch.
We talked before the game. First off, thank you, Jesus, for giving us enough. You know what we've been through these last couple of weeks, and the way our guys have worked to get back, and the team, our performance team, the effort they put in to help us get as close to 100% as we can. I'm so thankful for everybody that's played a part and helping us get ready for this one. And we talked before the game about having grit and fight, but it needed to be not individually. It needed to be a collective, like a connected grit and fight. And I thought we did that, because that was a team that we knew was going to keep swinging. They're a really good offensive team. We took punches. We kept punching. They punched. We punched. We punched just enough to finish the game. So,
all right, we'll have another comment in just a moment.
Hi, I'm Archie Griffin, 2-time Heisman Trophy winner. The right coverage can be a game changer, both on and off the field. That's why Encova Insurance and their local independent agents are prepared for what's next and protect what matters most to you. Whether that's your home, car, business, or family, Encova's got your back with a policy that fits you perfectly. With local independent agents in your neighborhood and innovative insurance products that can be tailored to fit your unique needs, Encova's playbook is an easy win for your peace of mind. You can trust their team of agents to develop a strategy that's just right for you. And it's not just X's and O's. Your expert agent will guide you and provide insurance solutions so you can confidently manage your risk and count on a financially secure future. For auto, home, and business insurance, you want Encova on your team. Visit Encova.com today to find an agent near you. Encova is a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. Go Bucks!
This is the Ohio State Sports Network, presented by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the team physicians for Ohio State athletics.
The Buckeyes get the victory 87-82 over the Trojans. Jake, how about how your team played defensively against an offensive team that had some things going for a while there?
You know, we had our moments. There were times we weren't quite good enough. This was a really physical game. I thought, we stood our ground well on some of their drives. They were being really aggressive to get in the paint. We had a couple miscommunication with all but this was a unique game because they went away from being bigger, went really small, caused us, to counter with a lot of switching. And, it's something we've been working on in the event that we're prepared for it. And I thought our guys, executed it because we haven't seen that, in game in a while. So thought we battled, guys. Listen, they're a good offensive team. Obviously, Yates had it going. But, we did some really good things. We were connected and got just enough.
It's the Ohio State Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey, basketball fans, Credit Union of Ohio wants to help you score more by making life more affordable. It's time to play with a team that helps you win every day. Credit Union of Ohio's loan rates have dropped to provide affordable financing for the things you want and need. It's time to reevaluate your current loans and consider refinancing with a team that cares about you. Check out current specials and get started scoring more money at cuofohio.org. That's cuofohio.org. NCUA insured, equal housing lender.
Everybody knows that Roosters is a fun, casual joint with their award-winning waitstaff, great food, fun, and laughter. It's a quick stop on the way home to sit back and unwind. It's a front row seat to the big game. Roosters is where you, your family, and friends can order pizzas, sandwiches, salads, and more. And the home of award-winning wings that are fresh, never frozen, and so big you won't believe it. It's your family's other dinner table. Roosters, a fun, casual joint, and the official wing sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Welcome to Nada Yada Island.
Next on Metro's Nada Yada Island podcast.
I almost fainted when the 4 new bombshells arrived. 4 free Samsung Galaxy A16 5G phones at Metro.
No way.
And finding out the 4th line is free. Oh, things got heated.
That's wild. Join Metro and get 4 free Samsung 5G phones. Only at Metro.
Plus tax. Bring 4 numbers and an ID and sign up for any Metro Flex plan. Not available currently at T-Mobile or been with Metro in the past 180 days.
Common Man here for Jermaine Lexus of Dublin and Easton. Are you looking for a new ride? And do you want the best experience and service in the city? Yes? Good. Go see my guys at Jermaine Lexus. The all-new 2025 TX is back in stock and arriving daily. Plus, they've got great 42-month leases for the 2025 NX350 all-wheel drive. It started $399 a month. I have been a Jermaine customer for years, even before I started doing the commercials. If you're in the market, please do stop in. Jermaine Lexus, 2 locations, Dublin, Easton, JermaineLexus.com.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for over 75 years. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Distilled sports discussion served in light beer quantities. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
All right, time for a little thing or not a thing on a Thursday. Hit it, fellas.
1. Thing or not a thing.
Sponsored by Apex Plumbing Pros.
The Athletic had a report on Wednesday. People within the Dallas Mavericks organization had, quote, significant concerns about Luka Doncic toward the end of his tenure with the team. According to the report, Doncic's affinity for drinking beer and smoking hookah bothered some within the Mavs front office. There's also belief within the Mavs that Luka's health history, quote, will likely lead to a catastrophe in the next 5 years or so, end quote. God. Doncic dealt with some nagging injuries, but he's played 61 or more games in every season he's been in the association. Thing or not a thing?
Very calculated thing.
Mm-hmm.
I would say don't poke the damn bear if I'm Dallas, right? So you've already traded him, a guy who's untradeable. Supposed to be untradeable. You traded him, and now you're trying to make it look better by burying his character every other day via the media. Good luck with that. He looked pretty damn healthy since he's been a Laker. Looked pretty good. Did you see him against Denver on last Saturday when he had 30? He looks great. If that's not healthy, what the hell are the rest of us? He looks like he's ready to go. It looks like he's widely motivated. And I'll tell you one thing. I think over the next 5 to 7 years, the must-see games, regular season NBA games, and I saw the ratings from the game from Tuesday night, huge. The must-see games will be anytime those two teams play. And they just keep stepping in it with this stuff. Like trying to justify it. It's crazy. Crazy.
This is an enormous thing because I'll go back to what I've always said. You're worried about this guy and he's not going to be able to play games. So you get a guy that's missed more games over his career and has a track record of not playing in games, and Anthony Davis. If this were the case, why wouldn't you have opened this up to the whole league?
Of course.
Like, you could have got so much more, I feel like, for Luka here. And this all of this is just making the Dallas Mavericks look stupid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they look petty.
That tinfoil hat looks good on you, Baker. Maybe in a week or so, I give you some red yarn and a cork board.
I'm ready for it.
According to Pat Leonard of the New York Daily News, soon-to-be former Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers has indicated he plans to play next season and wants to do so for the LA Rams. Leonard's reporting adds Rodgers wants Devontae Adams to join him in Los Angeles.
Oh, gosh.
While the Rams have said they want Matt Stafford back, they've also reportedly given his agent permission to explore a potential trade. Rodgers is still technically under contract with Gang Green, though they intend to release him. Adams has 2 years remaining on the deal with the Jets. All indications have been he wants to play elsewhere. Thing or not a thing?
Like, do you think McVay... Where I am with this is, like, would McVay want this? Like, would he want... I mean, it's going to be bargain basement. You're not going to pay him $50 million.
Would anybody want this?
Yeah, I think some would. I do think some would. I think Pittsburgh would. I think Vegas would. I mean, I think there are places that would. I just... Like, McVay's won a Super Bowl. They're so established. Like, it just doesn't seem like it. It is not surprising at all that he wants to play. The idea that he was going to be done playing football on that note with the New York Jets saying, yeah, we're good, is pretty wild. Also thought it was very interesting this week. Like, Aaron, they misread that locker room bigly. Aaron Glenn saying this week that it was really hard on the players that they weren't bringing Rodgers back. That's how much players loved. I always think about this. Whatever we think of Rodgers and his public persona, like, A.J. Hawk loves him. So there is stuff to him that is real, that has gravity in locker rooms around NFL players that folks like. So I don't think he's going to be widely disrupted. I think there's a media view of him and a public perception of him, and then there's what happens behind the closed doors. And the behind the closed doors seems to have a pretty high approval rating.
I just want him so bad to go to the Minnesota Vikings so we can just complete the Brett Favre whole thing, because everything on his career has followed the Brett Favre path, even this ridiculous circus at the end. There's, in my life in sports, your quarterback at the quarterback position cannot be the center of attention unless he's really good, and it's for reasons on the football field. It's, to me, why Tim Tebow could never stay as a backup in the league, because that media circus and attention around a backup quarterback, you just can't have that around your football team. There's no way that the production on the field from this man equals all of the attention and publicity that he brings for stuff that is not on the field anymore. I loved Aaron Rodgers back in the day. These last 3 or 4 years, I can't stand any of it.
Yeah. That tinfoil hat you're wearing might not come in handy when Rothman walks in and hits you upside the skull with a baseball bat for trying to pull that kind of a move, wishing Rodgers to the Minnesota Vikings. But it would be, for terms of silly season purposes and laughing at other teams for making odd moves, that would certainly fit that bill.
I'm not sure he still can't play. He was decent at the end of last year.
I think he can.
Like, I think in the right spot. I still think he can play a little bit. He's a man, he's 40. He was coming off an Achilles. Towards the end of last season, he actually played pretty decent.
I mean, their numbers, Stafford and Rodgers, were similar last season, although the teams were wildly different in terms of how they finished. But 28 touchdowns, 11 picks for Rodgers, 20 touchdowns, 8 interceptions for Stafford. Obviously, the records being what they are, I think Rodgers is to that team that says we are this guy away from going right now.
Yeah.
Maybe similarly for Stafford as well. On Wednesday, the Big Ten dinged the Northwestern women's basketball team 2 losses because they did not travel to L.A. to play UCLA or USC back in January during the L.A. wildfires. The conference also said USC and UCLA will each be credited with a win, adding the games will not be rescheduled. The Wildcats are 9-17 overall, 2-15 in Big Ten play. Thing or not a thing?
Obviously, this is not a thing in regard to the records of the teams. You're talking about 2 teams at the top of the conference and a team that's a bottom feeder. But what I am interested in is who made the decision not to go out there. Was that a decision that the Northwestern folks made on their own? Was there communication with USC and UCLA and they said, hey, don't come? Like, these fires, I want it for you at UCLA, the fires were right around the corner. So, like, is that a situation where UCLA said, hey, don't come, we're good with it? Or was it a situation where Northwestern just did it on their own unilaterally? I have to imagine, knowing how college athletics work, everything is a conference call. I have to assume that there was dialogue with USC and UCLA on this.
This is not a thing at all because if Northwestern had a better basketball team and this was going to affect like tournament seeding or getting in an NCAA tournament or something like that, they would absolutely replay these games. But since Northwestern is so bad, and those two teams we're talking about are two of the best basketball teams in the country, I'm pretty sure nobody thinks Northwestern is winning those games.
Yeah, I think it would be a thing only if only a win was awarded to one and not the other. Yeah. Because then you have both of them. Those teams are tied at the top of the Big Ten basketball standings. Real quick, ESPN's baseball play-by-play guy, Boog Shambi, was a guest on 670 The Score in Chicago yesterday and discussed the pending breakup between Major League Baseball and the worldwide leader.
Look, the league made a mistake, right? Because the league was the one that initially offered or asked for the opt-out, and then ultimately ESPN got one as well. And, yeah, it was a major mistake because if they hadn't done an opt-out, MLB would be locked into $550 million for, this year plus 2 or 3 more years. So I think that they can go back to the table. It's not done until it's done. I would personally say this. I think the league probably needs ESPN a little bit more than vice versa. I think whatever you want to say about ESPN and how it's changed, and even, if you don't like it as much as you used to, it is still the place that sports fans go to watch games. And if you think about how the NHL was covered or was not covered by ESPN when it wasn't on the network, it disappeared off the face of the planet. Look, it's a fact that if you put the exact same event on at the exact same time on ESPN and on TBS and on TNT, it will rate higher every single time on ESPN because it's just got more reach.
Thing or not a thing?
Well, I think he's hosted this show. That sounds like everything that I've said for years. We've said this for years. Holtman talked about this. They were concerned about it. They should be. Major League Baseball, this is a boneheaded move on their front. They will be forgotten on it's still by far the number one platform to consume sports and for sports dialogue, and they will be forgotten.
The only thing he didn't mention was the Versus Network, Bo. It's everything else that we've talked about. You know what's going to happen here, and it's going to make MLB look even worse, is they had this $550 million deal. They're going to go back with their tail between their legs, and they're going to get a deal that pays them like $250.
You're right. Yeah. No, it's wild. Final hour of the program coming up next. Shelley time at 11:30. A little higher or lower stakes. Oh, baby. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
Common Man has spent the past 18 years telling you how much he hates people. And yes, that probably means you, too. Common Man and T-Bone.
Weekdays at 3.
The Fan.
Shopping with your parents can be embarrassing.
Why would they sell jeans with holes in them? I'm going to speak to the manager.
Mom.
That hoodie is giving. You should get it. YOLO.
Thanks to the Chase mobile app, your kid can shop independently while you keep an eye on their spending. So you can go from...
We can be twinsies.
...to...
How was shopping? Saw you stayed on budget.
Thanks, Mom.
Freedom for kids, control for parents. That's family banking from Chase.
Account subject to approval. Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank N.A. Member FDIC.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are now boarding Group A. Please have your boarding passes ready to scan. If your phone is cracked, old, or was chewed up by your Chihuahua travel companion, please refrain from holding up the line. We ask that you kindly not be that guy, and instead simply go to Verizon and trade in any phone from their top brands in any condition on any unlimited plan for the new Samsung Galaxy S25 with Galaxy AI. With new line on my plan. Additional terms apply. See Verizon.com for details.
Save a good deal more at Meijer during the 7 for $7 sale going on now. Pay just $1 each when you mix or match any 7 or more on participating items, like Meijer frozen vegetables, Bush's beans, Red Gold canned tomatoes, Meijer facial tissue, and Powerade sports drink. Getting more for your money with the Meijer 7 for 7 sale. Now that's the good life. Exclusions apply. See all deals in-store or in the Meijer app.
Hey, Bobby Carpenter here from Carpenter Heating, Cooling, Plumbing, and Electric. Maybe your furnace isn't running so well. Maybe you need a new tankless water heater, or maybe it's just a leaky sink. Let my team take care of you the same way they take care of all my championship buddies. Check us out at CarpenterColumbus.com.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
President's Day savings all month long at your main Honda of Dublin. If you're searching for a Honda lease deal here in Central Ohio, you've come to the right place. Leasing allows you to enjoy flexibility in one of their sharp, reliable, awesome vehicles. I'm confident Rich and his team can tailor a lease that's right for you. Like a 2025 CR-V LX all-wheel drive for $349 a month for 36 months, 30,000 miles with only $19.99 down. Germain Honda of Dublin on Sawmill Road, just south of 270.
Hi, this is Ron from the Good Feet store. Are you standing on painful feet all day? Don't lose hope. We want to help you live without pain. Discover your options and visit goodfeet.com or stop in today at the Good Feet store on Polaris Parkway in Grove City.
Hey there, friends. Bo Bishop here. As football winds down, college basketball is gearing up, and fans are ready to see which teams will prove they are ready to shine in March and who will be seen in San Antonio. You can get in all the action from tip-off to the final whistle at ESPN Bet Sportsbook. Right now, new ESPN Bet Sportsbook customers can bet $10 and get $100 back in bonus bets and unlock 30 days of ESPN Plus. Download the app. Sign up with the promo code Radio100 to get started today. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
Broadcasting from the Lindsay Honda Studios.
Honda makes the cars. Lindsay makes the difference. Visit lindsayhonda.com.
WBNS-FM, HD1 Columbus. The Fan. Sports Center.
Good morning. I'm Eric Reeser. The Blue Jackets are riding into Detroit on a 2-game winning streak. CBJ skate against the Red Wings tonight at 7. Elvis Merzlikins looks to get the nod in net. We'll have the game on the Fan with coverage at 6:30. Jackets enter Thursday in the second wild card spot in the East, just 2 points back of the Red Wings. Columbus will host Detroit on Saturday in the Stadium Series matchup at the Shoe. In college hoops, the basketball Buckeyes put a halt to a 3-game slide. Ohio State won at USC last night, 87-82. Trojans tied things up at 80 with a minute left. Devin Royal put the Buckeyes up 3 to seal the deal. Ohio State's back at the shot next Tuesday, hosting Nebraska. They'll close out the season next Sunday at Indiana. This update sponsored by Dr. Mark Levy. If you're snoring and not sleeping, give Dr. Mark Levy's office a call at 1-800-MORE-SLEEP. That's 1-800-MORE-SLEEP, or visit him online at sleepbettercolumbus.com. Breaking sports news when it happens on the Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Our top men are working on everything except this show. This is Bishop and Friends.
All right, final hour here on a Thursday edition of the program. Time to play a little higher or lower. Hit it, Reese.
Bishop and Friends present Higher or Lower.
Sponsored by the Waterworks. Call the Waterworks and Header Heating and Cooling today at 614-232-2222 or visit online at thewaterworks.com.
All right, this higher or lower is going to maybe make your mouth waterworks.
Oh, baby.
I'm trying to remember, Baker, when it was yesterday you and Tyvis got into your steak disagreement.
Well, what was the disagreement? Let me be the arbiter.
Best cut of meat from the cow.
So was it in 3 things when we talked about the weather possibly and grilling out, or
yes.
I'm not sure when it was.
You were gonna
we're going to hit up the grill
Uncover
with
the
these
grill.
nice temperatures here. Tyvis is a filet guy. That's his favorite. And I said, let's go ribeyes. And
of course you did.
Of course. Yeah. So
you're a grown man.
Yeah.
Come on.
And I told Tyvis because I'm right. That's why I picked the ribeye over the filet.
Tastingtable.com has the most popular cuts of steak ranked best to worst.
And you don't eat steak.
I'm not a steak guy. Last time I went to Jeff Ruby's, I had the Atlantic salmon. Not at all. So for Valentine's Day, we did steaks.
Yeah.
But I don't care enough. to ever like go out of my way to order it. I've never loved it. I'm just not a big red meat guy.
So I had Elmo's Tuesday, and I went. I like the way I do a steak almost better than most steakhouses do a steak. So I typically will go something else that I don't make a lot. So I did prime rib at Elmo's on Tuesday night, and when I tell you that the piece of meat still had a pulse, and I'm medium rare always, the fat wasn't even rendered on it. Like I needed like an electric knife to cut it. And they said, well, boy, why didn't you send it back? I'm like, that's fine. What am I going to do? But like I'm just not a send it back guy. But the rest of the experience, they crushed. They absolutely crushed the rest of the experience. So last night I went to Ruby's, and that experience was AA+. I wasn't in the mood so I did sushi, their sushi's incredible. So I did that. But the Ruby's place, there's so many good ones out there. But yeah, I always try when it comes to steakhouse, I usually try to find something that I don't make much at home.
Is there anything Ruby's doesn't crush?
No, come on, dude.
To the point about the salmon, because last time I went, and this was a couple of years ago, you start off with sushi.
Yeah.
And so in the moment, I'm like, I'm just going to stick with seafood. I wasn't going to try to go from sushi or from a Buckeye roll over to, a piece of steak. So I'm like, well, the salmon's really good. So I'd recommend that if, there's plenty of people in town this week and look to get pumped up.
Oh, baby.
From a protein standpoint.
Reese, I know this, sorry, Bo, that the salmon is also a superfood, but I feel like high school Reese, Golden Bear Reese, when he was trying to bench press 300 pounds, was eating some steak, right?
A lot of chicken.
Okay.
Big chicken guy.
Because, again,
it's a nervous bird.
At 17 or 18, well, that actually tracks. I don't know how to cook many things well, but you could easily get a piece of chicken, throw it on the skillet, and with enough sauce, it's something edible for a teenager.
The steak is so easy, though, right, Bo?
So
At home,
easy.
it's so easy. Once you learn.
I would also tell you, like, if you're trying to do the big game changer for me with making steak for a bunch of people, or even prime rib, is the sous vide. Then that takes the guesswork out of it. And I'm to the point now where I can do it blindfolded. Could do a steak for myself, but if you do it for a bunch of people, the sous vide is a game changer. All right, go ahead.
All right, so from, again, tastingtable.com, and I didn't know that there were 14 different cuts of beef going into this, so you learn something every day, kids.
Yeah.
Do you want to start at number 1, or do you want to start what they think is the worst cut of the cow?
Let's start at the bottom.
All right, so at 14 on this list is the round steak, and that's taken from the upper rear of the cow.
I think that's the right spot for it.
Cow's ass.
Yeah, I think that's the right spot. Bottom of the list on the round steak. I'm fine with that.
I mean, they call it the rump roast for a reason, right?
Yeah.
That's one you throw in the slow cooker all day.
Crock pot that sucker, baby. Yeah, get some good marbling. That's appropriate.
At number 13 is the flank steak.
That's too low.
Comes from the flank of the cow, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Flank is way too low on this. So they have tri-tip 12, and then... Well, they got T-bone.
T-bone's at 11.
I'm not a big T-bone guy. I mean, I love Brother Bone, but I'm not a big T-bone guy. I think the flank is ranked too low. I marinate flank, and we have it quite a bit. I love marinated flank steak. It's really important on the flank steak that you should do this with all cuts of meat, but you cut it across the grain. You've got to cut it across. Otherwise, it can be tough. But if it's marinated, the marinade I use a soy. It's like 60% soy, 40% Worcester sauce, and then lime or lemon. And the acidity in the lime or lemon really tenderizes it. That's a home run.
So this is where a lot of this comes into me, because I feel like a good cut of meat, you salt, pepper, maybe a little garlic, and you go with it. So like the flank steak, I've never really dealt with the flank steak too much, but I feel like that one, and then as we go down the list here, you get to but past the T-bone, you get to the skirt steak. That's one that a lot of them will marinate too and cut it up for like burrito and stuff. I feel like that stuff should be lower because you got to do more work with it.
I think skirt is great too. I love a skirt steak.
So right higher for you on that?
Higher for skirt and higher for flank. I marinate them both. Right now Costco does they have like a Wagyu skirt steak that is really reasonable priced.
Anything Wagyu, right?
Usually pretty solid. But I mean, the skirt steaks you marinate those babies up and you're ready to roll on that front. But I'd have them they have Flat Iron 9. They're better than that. Both of those are much better.
I've not done much with the tri-tip outside of a burger, but I know the tri-tip burgers are delicious.
Yeah.
Denver steak is at 8. New York strip at 7. Higher or lower for the strip there?
Dommy's a big New York strip guy.
That tracks.
That
absolutely tracks.
I am not a big New York strip guy. So to me, this is appropriately ranked for the New York strip. I would take flank and skirt and put them ahead. I think New York strip. Where was New York strip? What'd you say? What number?
7.
Okay, it should be ahead of top sirloin. Like there's nothing to a top sirloin. Top sirloin should be lower.
I agree with that, and I even had some sirloin steak last night. But yes, a strip would go higher than 7. That Denver steak is very interesting because that Denver steak is on that piece of the cow that's right next to the ribeye. So if you get the one that's closer to the ribeye, you can have you a Denver steak that's really good, but you can get some that aren't nearly as good the further away you get.
Number 5 is something I've never heard of before this, bavette. Did I say that properly?
I've seen this.
Never heard of this either.
Yeah, you see this every once in a while.
Flap steak is what it's also known as, a flat cut with an intense beef flavor, according to Steak Revolution.
Yeah, I can't speak too emphatically about that. I do think that they have the right one, and I would have it even higher. They have hanger steak 4. I would put hanger steak as number 2 for me. I would put it number 2 on my list. I would have it second.
This is another one that I have never done as well either. I've never.
Oh, you got to do a big meat guy like you.
The hanger steak before.
You and I got to go to a butcher shop, buddy. I'm going to get you. You know what usually they call what I usually call a hanger steak, like most butchers will call it. Like it's like a meat candy bar. That's what it is. It's got a great deal of marbling.
Okay.
Yeah, it's hanger steak is where it's at.
The marbling is where the flavor is.
Got to have it. You got to have it. I think hanger steak. Go ahead to number 3.
At number 3, this is Tyvis's favorite, the filet.
Look, I love him, but he don't know what he don't know. I mean, this is a guy who drinks lemonade and grape juice, so like he doesn't know what he don't know.
Simple things.
He's like Floyd Gondola, and just all of a sudden got Tyvis being Floyd Gondola for Boogie Nights. I like simple things. I can't say any more of that line because we'd be thrown off the air. Filet is way too high. It's just weight. There just isn't enough flavor to it. For me, it's tender, and the other thing is for restaurants, it's unless they sous vide it, sometimes it's hard to cook. My wife is constantly sending back fillets because they always make them really thick and they're crispy on the top, and then they're usually very red in the middle. She orders medium rare, but sometimes to her it feels like they're rare. So I would have filet much lower on this list.
I would drop filet down to the one thing I do, like you said, the filet. I feel like a good piece of meat has to be about an inch and a half thick. A lot of times the fillets will be about 2.5. Mm-hmm. So they're small in size, but they're that thickness, and it can be difficult to get them cooked all the way through the right way. Sometimes you have to cook those, I feel like, a little longer and lower. Yeah. And I feel like a good steak needs to be hot.
That goes back to that sous vide thing. Like that takes the guesswork out of it.
Yeah.
It'll be done medium rare. You just sear it and you're done. But yeah, I would have the filet lower on this list.
At number 2, so this is from tastingtable.com, and they ranked the most popular cuts of steak from 1 to 14. At number 2, the porterhouse. At number 1, the ribeye.
That's the right order. Now I could take porterhouse below hanger. That's what I would do on that, but porterhouse would be in the top 5. The ribeye is the king of meats. This is the best cut. This is the most flavor. It has all the tenderness that you want. It like a bone-in ribeye. Come on, dude. I mean, what are we doing? Even if it's not, just the ribeye is the right cut. That's the correct. They got that right.
Yeah, the only way I feel you can go wrong with a ribeye is if you get one too thin, because then you can overcook it a little. But even if you overcook a ribeye some, it's still got all of that flavor in it because of the marbling, so you still can't beat it. I mean, I don't know how anybody could have anything but ribeye at number 1, although, Bo, I got to go get one of these hanger steaks now.
That's going to be your next thing for you. That'll be your next spot, is we're gonna get you hanger staked up. And I think you're gonna that'll be a big win for you. I got to get you marinating too. It's so simple. It's so simple, buddy. I mean, you only need it. It's best overnight. Mm-hmm. But you could even do it in the morning. You get that marinade going in the morning, and then you have it at night, and you're ready to go, man.
And like I do, like when I'll make chicken or even fish sometimes a little bit, pork chops, obviously, I will marinate those and stuff. But with a steak, to me, you just can't beat salt, pepper, and garlic.
Well, that always wins. Little rosemary, little butter, all of those things win. A tip for the kids out there, we do have some young kids listening. If you're going to get into the steak world, really any meat cooking, get it to room temp before you cook it. that'll help you. But yeah, I'm curious what your girlfriend thinks from her. What is her cut of the meat? Because that's
a good question. I'll try to have that before the end of the show.
Right.
A professionally trained chef.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I'd like to know her view on that. It is a big week in Old Columbus Town, both, and actually it is. The size human beings that I saw in downtown this morning, substantial. We'll get to all of that coming up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
We're the highest rated sports radio station in America. There's no joke there. We just are. The Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
For the Blue Jackets, the magic happens on the ice. But for Blue Jackets fans looking for an amazing getaway, the real Florida magic is here in Central Florida's Polk County. From the natural beauty of Bok Tower Gardens to the all-ages fun at Legoland Florida Resort to the chance to do some luxurious glamping on a working dude ranch, it's all here. Even better, it's all just minutes from other area theme parks too. Discover everything we offer and plan your trip to see the real Florida at visitcentralflorida.com today.
Back in the studio with a return visit from
Todd Schmelt.
Todd, the last time you were with us, you claimed to be
the dumbest person in Columbus.
You're being really hard on yourself.
Not in the least. You know what I got?
I hate to ask.
One of them thermostats with the dial and the needle. Woo, woo, woo.
Maybe that's not modern, but not...
What am I? Eli Whitney, Elias Howe, Johann Gertis?
I don't know who those people are.
Those are old-timey people from the 19th century, and that's me. Outdated, like my silly old thermostat.
Okay, look, you're not the dumbest guy in Columbus. You just haven't called Apex Pros.
The pros who knows?
Those guys. Whether it's the latest technology, fixing your furnace, or a brand new system, they know all the stuff so you don't have to.
I don't have to know it all?
Nah, you just have to know the pros who knows.
Apex Pros. I'm not the dumbest guy in Columbus.
I didn't even know who Johann Gertis was.
Inventor of the gas-powered unicycle. Look it up, doy.
Okay, you don't have to be me.
No doubt about it. Columbus loves Apex Pros, the pros who knows. ApexPros.com.
Home values in Columbus are sky high, and you have a ton of equity. Your financial advisor thinks the market has peaked. So if you're thinking about selling, it's time. Except for two things. High interest rates will burn you on a new home loan, and you're not ready to move. Savvy financial advisors suggest Truehold's new Sell and Stay program. It's ingenious because they buy your home now while its value is high, but you can stay in your home as long as you want with an easy, affordable lease. Smart, right? Truehold will make you a solid cash offer, not a lowball offer like the others. It's based on your home's current value. The cash is yours to travel, pay off bills, or secure your retirement. And again, you can stay in your home with a comfortable lease. Truehold covers property taxes, insurance, and maintenance. See how much Truehold will pay for your home today. Call 1-855-300-9993 or visit Truehold.com. The smarter, faster way to cash out your home's value without moving. That's Truehold.com.
Hey, it's Leslie from Pella Columbus.
I'm Wilson from that other window place. Wait, Leslie, what is that dude doing over there at that window?
Well, that dude is Chase, and Chase is making that window look perfect. We're sticklers on detail, Wilson, both in our showroom and definitely in people's homes.
Chase, be careful. May have spilled some coffee over there just a bit ago.
Oh, he knows. He seems to work a lot more when you're around, Wilson. Get the window that homeowners rated the leading window brand in Columbus at PellaColumbus.com.
Are you ready for the jackets and wings from the shoe? Are you 5 hours ready? Yes, sir. We're giving you 5 hours of Jackets pregame starting Saturday at noon.
Sponsored by Visit Central Florida.
Your home of the Jackets, The Fan.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty, and I buy real estate as is fast for cash. Give us a call today for an all-cash offer at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. I buy vacant properties, inherited homes, divorce situations, death in the family. I even buy my tenants won't pay me the rent houses. Give us a call today for an all-cash offer at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000.
Ohio has over 920,000 diabetics. If you are a diabetic, take a step in the right direction by having your feet checked routinely by a podiatric physician, the most qualified doctors to care for your feet. Adding a podiatrist to your healthcare team can help you better manage the effects of diabetes on your feet. Ohio Foot and Ankle Medical Association podiatric physicians are located throughout the state. For more information or to find a member of the Ohio Foot and Ankle Medical Association near you, visit ohiofoot.org.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
We are tracking some showers this afternoon.
The timing for the rain would be between 3 p.m. and 8 p.m. Today's high will be 48 degrees. Tonight, 31. Sunny on your Friday with a high of 52. Winds could gust as high as 40 miles per hour. I'm meteorologist Dylan Robichaud with your 10 TV weather impact forecast on 97.1 The Fan.
If the sound of another man slammed against plexiglass turns you on, you've come to the right place. Proud to be your home for Jackets hockey. The Fan, Ohio sports destination. We'll read your emails on the air, but we won't tell you where to send them. Hey, we're not doing all the work for you. This is Bishop and Friends.
Hi, friends. We are brought to you by our great friends at Diamond Cellar, your true jeweler for over 75 years. As I mentioned, I was at dinner at Ruby's Joint last night, and I don't know how. There's just been so much going on, both personally and just professionally, being over in Indy, and then we got the big game here on Saturday. All of these things happening, and it wasn't until I parked and I looked around, and I'm like, oh, Arnold. The Arnold is here.
So many fanny packs.
Oh, my God. The Arnold is here. And then you walk in and you see the Arnold is here. Mm-hmm. The Arnold is here. And it's one of the coolest things. It is so cool that it's here. It's so cool that through the years, Arnold comes and you see him.
You probably stayed on the same floor as him and you didn't even know it.
I'm
assuming penthouse.
I was definitely on the elevator with a gentleman and a lovely lady who spoke very little to no English, and were, from what I would be best described as in the old world, as Eastern European bloc. So that was a fact. I love it. I think the Arnold's great. Dom and I used to go down there and just screw around. That was like just take a camera and just see what type of trouble we could get into, and inevitably we'd get into a lot. It's an incredible showcase for our city, for downtown. The Columbus Sports Committee just crushes it, absolutely crushes it. And the fact that it's back every year, it's just one of those events that you forget it's there, and then all of a sudden here we are again, and it's there. The funniest thing we ever did with it was this would have been probably 15 years ago or something. We had a producer, and we used to do a show on the now defunct Ohio News Network called The Average Joe Sports Show. And what we would do is the third segment of the show was like kind of a wild card segment. And the producer of the show took a cameraman, he went down to the Arnold, and he shot biceps. And then he would snap zoom the camera to reveal, and the game we played was man or woman. So you'd see a bicep, and then you would have to say, what is it? And then it would unzip, and you'd get the reveal. It was pure comedy. You cannot if you've not been, you cannot believe the size of these humans.
No.
I mean, this was like Game of Thrones mountain type humans are walking around.
Probably there this weekend.
Yeah.
I think he's trying to set a deadlift world record.
Is he? So
literally,
you're walking down the street and the mountain is walking by, and there are a bunch of hills. If you use the mountain now, there's hills forever, mountain ranges forever. They're just huge human beings. It's so cool.
Do you have any of that old ONN footage to unearth?
It's probably over there.
I wonder if we can get away with doing that one.
There's got to be old Facebook posts, right?
Yeah, the Dom and I stuff. Every once in a while, one of the anniversaries of that, one popped up of him and I trying to get the geese eradicated because they were pooping over here.
I actually asked if you guys could handle that. I don't know if you saw them coming in.
Oh, yeah. No, we went out there. We actually had somebody who had like a border collie business who said, we will bring the border collies, and I promise you won't have any more geese. And it's not like the border collies don't eat the geese. They just chase them. And so we had somebody come in with the border collies and then eradicate the geese. So, yeah, we did a lot. There's got to be. Wes is still here, isn't he?
I don't know about that.
Yeah, he is.
Okay. So Coleman?
Yeah, he would know where it is. I guarantee you. There's got to be, because it was all, in those days, it was all physical tape. I can't imagine they threw it away.
It's in the archives up in the attic somewhere.
This is very much inside this building.
Yeah.
Where we're sitting right now just used to be the storage area.
Yeah. Well, where we are right now used to be the O&N control room.
Okay.
You'd come through those doors and it was the O&N control room. And then the studio
here.
Yeah. And then storage was over there and then upstairs. But when they redid the set on Channel 10, I was here then and we did the show from up the stairs here in like a warehouse space. We did like the news from up there. But yeah, there's some of that stuff that better. I don't need Dom to get canceled this far. I mean, there was a couple of shows we did where, we'll just leave it there.
It can't
Me and Dom and Tim May.
Oh, what a crew.
Yeah.
What a
Zwick
crew.
was on those shows. Zwicky was on those shows. The very first episode of that show, Mike was on with me. It was me and Dom and Mike.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. We did like 2 shows together, and that was it. But it was the 3 of us. We did the average.
I think he's told a story before where he came in, filmed an episode, and then all of a sudden it wasn't him on the episode that aired, thinking it was going to be the one that he'd filmed.
Well, it was
you guys
live.
just did it over again.
It was live. I don't remember. He would remember exactly what happened. I remember, though, that when we pitched the show, the guy who was kind of in charge of programming of the network then was a guy named Jason Feaster, who then worked at Spectrum for a lot of years. Great dude. Awesome
still
dude.
Over there.
Is he still there? Yeah, he's awesome. Great guy. And his whole thing was, I just want to find a vehicle where you and Mike can do stuff together. This was like in 2007. And Mike was doing a bunch of stuff at that time. And so that was the idea. And then Dom was in the mix. And so it was the 3 of us. We did, I think, maybe 1 or 2 episodes of the show. It wasn't much, but but that show went on for a lot of years, and we really pushed the envelope.
I'm a little disappointed that in, thinking of all of that stuff and what you guys used to do, and then talking about the Arnold this week, that we all didn't act accordingly and wear Zuba's pants, tank tops, and fanny packs for this show today.
They are. I saw 50 of them this morning. It's zip up hoodies, tank tops, and they're not Zubas, but essentially like loose fitting sweatpant material. That was the outfit. And coming straight from the spray tan joint.
Zubas and starter jackets back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
This is the combo.
I think they even set up like spray tan tents and pop-up locations.
I'm sure
either
there
at
is.
the convention center, Nationwide Arena.
Yeah.
Like, 'cause I think they do down at Nationwide, they'll have on stage those contests like the Olympia or the bodybuilding. And so just like pop-up spray tans.
Yeah.
In the hallways of the convention center.
Yeah, they're there.
Like Hall D, and then there's somebody just getting the spray.
So great. So you have that, which starts today, and then you've got the Stadium Series game on Saturday. It's a nice little week for old Columbus Town kids. This is nice. It seems like I don't know what I expected them to do with the Stadium Series, but whatever I expected, it seems like they're going to exceed it by leaps and bounds. Just the presentation, everything around it. I know you guys will be broadcasting. When do you guys start on Saturday?
Noon Saturday.
All right, so you guys go noon Saturday, and then
we're noon to 3. Then AR and Rim are 3 to 5.
Oh my God, rims
for 2 hours.
He had to be here for this.
Well, of course,
yeah,
of course he did. But it seems like they're crushing every single angle of this. The way that they did the ice, the stadium setup, all of it, and it seems like we're going to be good weather-wise, right? Let's like 40s.
Yep. Maybe rain in the morning, but it's none in the afternoon, which rain would be the killer in all of this.
That would be the killer. As long as you don't have rain at night, then you're in the clear.
And it looks like we're okay. So temperatures in the 40s.
When they dropped this date, that was my fear.
Rain.
Yeah, because that's all we have. We have winter and then we have rain season. And we're in rain season now officially. So that was my fear.
Grapple in the forecast, I think, for today.
Oh, we got a grapple sighting?
I have never heard that word in my life until Dylan has it in the weather this morning. And I'm like, what's a grapple?
First time I heard it, there was
about a year ago, I think. We were having a similar conversation.
Yeah, it was one of the Browns games up there. They had, it might have been was it a Burrow game that they had grapple? A Burrow game up there? Yeah, where they had a grapple situation. Yeah, it's not great.
Nothing sounds more Ohio than grapple, though.
It does. Yeah. Yeah. Got to get a burger and a side of grapple. Shelley time in 2 minutes. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
At local Logan Services, we know how important your home comfort is, and that's why we're proud to offer free HVAC inspections. Through our free inspection, you'll get a thorough assessment of your heating and cooling system to identify any potential issues that can impact your home, your energy bills, and even your health. The assessment is free and only takes an hour of your time. It's the fast, friendly service that you've come to expect from our team at Logan Services.
The Reds are on the radio.
Long fly ball, deep left center field, way back. It is gone.
This could be an inside the park home run. Ellie De La Cruz is on.
He leaps and he caught it.
20 home runs on the year for Spencer Steer.
What will Terry Francona's 2025 Reds look like? Find out for yourself. Cactus League play is underway. Hear all the action on your home of the Reds.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Want to know anything about the Fans contest, how to win, or what's up for grabs? Check out 971thefan.com. The Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
The Gloves. Shelley time.
Sponsored by Visit Central Florida. Discover the real Florida magic at visitcentralflorida.com.
Oh, baby, and he joins on the Bryan Heating Cooling Systems fan guest hotline. A little bit of Shelley time. Detroit, the location tonight. Jackets in Detroit. When this thing dropped that it was going to be these two teams, Stadium Series on Saturday, what we all hoped for, Jode, was, gosh, it'd be something if they both could be in the mix. And they are. And now you get them back to back. You get them tonight. You get them on Saturday. It's like everything that you wanted, kind of the perfect storm, isn't it?
I mean, you couldn't draw it up any better.
Mm-mm.
You know, it's a massive stage in March. The weather's going to be good, and these two teams are desperate for these two games. And it'd be a huge swing in the standings for whoever gets these wins. And to have an outdoor game it's so special. I mean, you feel the buzz around Columbus right now.
Mm-hmm.
These guys in Detroit we were just in the locker room. They're just as fired up. But the major part of this is, this game means a lot outdoors. So it's perfect. I think it just adds to the as the coach Todd McCullough said from Canada, it adds to the drama.
That's very well done. Having lived here as long as you did, when you saw the date March 1st, you had to be concerned. For rain, right?
I mean, there was a day about, I want to say 5 weeks ago that was low clouds and nonstop drizzle.
Mm-hmm.
And we're all familiar with that in Columbus and Central Ohio. And you're thinking, boy, if this is what it's going to be like, this could be, it could be anything.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But it looks perfect.
Yeah, I was so nervous. I thought, gosh, you do an outdoor game here, do it in January. Just give yourself a chance that you know that it's going to be cold. And it looks like we're going to be in our low 40s, so that's a win. And then the product is going to be so great between the two teams. Have you ever been to one?
I was a part of one.
Which one?
So when I was with the Philadelphia Flyers, I was part of the Winter Classic against the New York Rangers. It was on HBO. And that was the one Mike Rupp had 2 goals and he did the Yager salute. I was sitting next to Brizgalov, who didn't get the nod that day. And he was, I don't know if you remember his famous quote, he was going to be sitting next to the bench drinking his tea. I wasn't drinking tea, but I was hanging out with him. Yeah, I was a healthy scratch. And so the practice the day before, which the players are going to do tomorrow, I was practicing. I'm a left winger. I was practicing as an 8D with a goalie jersey on. But I still stopped the head coach and said, hey, Laviolette, any chance I can play tomorrow, I'd love to play. And he said, well, we've got a winning lineup, and I hate to change it. And so I was a healthy scratch. So I was a part of it. It's a festival. I just want to give you an update on practice. So you hear the tapping in the background?
I do, yeah.
The moms are on the trip.
Oh.
And a couple moms were late for this picture in the middle of the ice. You'll see it on social media. Hopefully we're in the background of it. And they're all the players in their gear and their moms in Blue Jacket swag are now taking a photo here at Center Ice.
I could make a joke about moms being late, but I won't. I won't do it. I'll keep that off. We'll keep that off the air. That was that the Claude Giroux? He was kind of like a star of that HBO, wasn't he?
Claude Giroux, yeah, with Drew Van Riemsdyk. Yeah, I think he was.
They followed him a lot, and that was kind of like, I think, for the folks who maybe don't follow the Flyers all the time at that time, it was like his welcome to the world moment. Everyone's like, wow, this guy's pretty charismatic young player at that time. I remember that with him.
They had Dubinsky, and I just played there. And the funny thing about that, HBO follows you around, you know, and they ask you all these questions. And that was when I called. They asked me, they would name a player and think of an animal, and I said Dubinsky. You know, he's a bit of a weasel, and I didn't mean it in a bad way. I just meant he's hard to play against. You know. Yeah. Anyways, he went off in the New York Post about it because of the whole stage. Anyways, he's part of our local alumni now, so it's all put to rest. But part of the drama in that HBO series, it was awesome.
As a kid, did you grow up playing on ponds?
Oh yeah, we played outside all the time.
Okay.
Like in Western Canada, there was a lot of rain. Who was I just talking to us about? Oh, Kent Johnson. Kent Johnson was talking to us about it, and he said, you know, he's played only outdoors in Calgary when he was there because Vancouver had so much rain. But I got to play outdoors a lot.
Yeah, it's one of those things now, I think, of kids who grow up playing hockey, like you rarely, if ever, it's almost always indoors in a rink. But in certain parts of Canada, that's more of a normal thing. I think probably Minnesota, a little bit of that too. All right.
Yeah, but just think of this, though. This is what makes this game very tough. And for the goalies and for the players is a spatial awareness. I mean, we're used to playing in a stadium, right?
Yeah. Now
the fans are a little further away. There's more fans, the depth perception of the puck. There's a lot of elements that create some of that chaos that happens in these outdoor games. So it's another element both teams have to deal with.
I think that's what makes them so great, though, too, right? Because it's so high flying. It's so even more unpredictable than sometimes NHL hockey can be, because usually you get a lot of scoring. I mean, so it's kind of one of those things that checks every single box. This team, pretty damn close to fully formed now. We got a lot of guys back. It's been so after the Four Nations break. A really impressive one last time out. I mean, this is what you kind of wanted, and you're heading into March now with a lot of momentum and to chase at these monster games with Detroit. It's been a while since I remember us this healthy and this ready to go for a stretch run like the one we're about to encounter.
Well, yeah. And, I mean, it's encouraging to get those three players back, Marchenko, Jenner, and Fabro. But that's only half of the guys that are out still. Monahan, number one center. Chinnikov, power forward, top six, sniper. And then Goodbranson, stay-at-home defenseman. But it creates energy within the locker room getting guys back. You know, you see Cole Sillinger trying to get Boone Jenner that puck last game a couple times to get his first goal of the year. You know, guys pull for each other. But, no, I agree. It's been a while, and it's been the best story in the National Hockey League because – we didn't know what was going to happen coming in, and boy, are they tight-knit group, and they are finding ways to get it done, and they love playing the way they're playing. So, you know, I expect Detroit's a good team too now. Detroit's sharpened things up since they've made a coaching change. So this is a great head-on collision for two teams that are right there together in those wild card spots for the playoff race.
Yeah, the intensity is going to be – and I love the idea you get them back-to-back. Right?
I love it, too.
Isn't that great? To somebody does something a little above or beyond tonight, and then it carries over into Saturday.
Yeah, exactly. You mean roughness? We might see some. We'll see. Emotion. That's what Todd McCullough has brought to this group for Detroit. You know, so they play with a little more emotion, and it's such a big part of hockey, and you see the Blue Jackets have it all year. I think that's why these two teams playing against each other. Plus, the Michigan. Let's have some Michigan colors down in the coaches' scrum today. You know, they're going to have that whatever they call those two colors It's going to be prominent for the Red Wings group, I think.
It's pretty wild that the two colors are inverted in that rivalry, that we're in the navy blue and they're in the red. And in the football,
good point.
it's the other way on football. So, like, if you see a bunch of people in the shoe and the Michigan gear this weekend, they could be mistaken as Blue Jacket fans.
I hope they don't try to bring a flag down there. That's all I want to see.
I think Jack Sawyer's done. He's done with the combine, so I think he can be on flag duty. If anything happens, he can take people out. If you see that M thing flying around in that stadium,
perfect.
Certainly, this is an absolutely fun time. I haven't had a chance to talk to you since the momentum that the league got with Four Nations and how that's parlayed. I think. Boy, the juice was worth the squeeze for sure. But, I mean, you think about Florida. Kachuk's out now a long time. And so you're dealing with that on that side of it. But the juice was worth the squeeze. And all of the folks who I think didn't normally watch the NHL, I'm not suggesting you're going to have what you had all the time with Canada and USA. It was a perfect storm. But there were people who were exposed to the greatness of this game that otherwise weren't and maybe wouldn't find it. And now you couple that with the Stadium Series game, with all of the push that ESPN has, it's a really healthy spot for the sport, for the NHL and all of it. And we're right in the middle of it.
Yeah. Isn't that tremendous? And you're
awesome.
right. I think we were all kind of wondering, what is the Four Nations going to be? And the way Canada and U.S. started with the two fights and the way that it's been covered on all sports outlets and talk shows, it's been huge for the game.
Yeah.
And, you know, the momentum is one thing, but the buzz, the attention, the eyeballs, the NFL's done. Let's be honest. Super Bowl weekend's over. They take a 2-week break. What are we going to watch? Hey, let's check out this Four Nations. Well, you can't stop watching it.
Yeah.
And, you know, those are things that are important for the National Hockey League. And they've nailed it again this year. And it's been the stars. Like, we have a star in Zach Werenski that was on the big stage for USA. I still don't think he was talked about enough. I still think he was the best defenseman in that tournament.
Yeah.
Am I biased? Maybe a little bit. But he was elevated in a massive role. And I talked to him yesterday, and he actually looked me in the face and said, you know, he was talking about the excitement and how great it was to be in Montreal, but he loved being in Boston with all the Team USA jerseys. And he said, you know, if I'm a part of the Olympics, it'll be a lot different, but it'll be bigger because, you know, all the eyeballs are watching from afar. And I'm thinking, if you're on the team, and I didn't say anything because he was probably thinking about health, and I don't ever want to talk about that with him. But, you know, I was thinking, yeah, okay, all right. You'll be there, buddy. Don't worry about it.
You may have a C or an A on your sweater if he's, you know, the way it's going. No, I mean, he's going to be right in the middle of the Norris, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's not. If we make a run, Jody, I wouldn't be surprised if he's in the top 10 in the Hart. I think he could get some of that as well. He's been unbelievable this year.
He really has.
Where do you? What do we need to know tonight from anything from a line change, pairings change? Where do we sit with all that?
Well, Tarasov's going to play for the Blue Jackets. He hasn't played in a while. We've got to get him some reps here. This is a big 2-game set. You know, you think both teams looking to see where they're at after this weekend with the trade deadline coming right away. I think the general managers in both of these camps are really paying attention to what comes out of these 4 points in these 2 games and where you sit in the standings next. That's where my head's at right now for both these games. A lot of emotion. I love that the Moms are on the trip because, you know what, this could be a trap game with everything going on around the players for the outdoor game, families, tickets, events, you know. But, no, the Moms are here, so you got to have a little extra special effort here tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one. Really cool 2-game set. Enjoy it, buddy. By the way, tonight's game simulcast here on Fox locally. So you have that to look forward to as well. And, of course, always listen to it right here on The Fan. Great talking to you, pal. Thanks for your time.
All right, Bo. Good talking to you. See you, buddy. Have a great day. Thank you.
All right, there he is. A little bit of Shelley time on the Bryant Heating and Cooling Systems fan guest hotline. Jackets coming into tonight, 64 points. Wings coming into tonight, 66 points. Fan pregame starts at 6:30 right here on The Fan. 3 things on a Thursday up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
Hair Volume is the best-selling hair tablet in the world and one of many award-winning natural hair products from New Nordic.
This Buckeye Football Impact Report is brought to you locally by Credit Union of Ohio and by Hyde Park Prime Steakhouse on The Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
Ohio State football Impact Report.
Another great Ohio State incoming linebacker recruit is Eli Lee. You have to look no further than the state of Ohio and up north to Akron. Here's Ohio State recruiting analyst Bill Kurlick on Eli Lee.
Linebacker Eli Lee from Archbishop Hoban High School in Akron is a playmaker. He plays middle linebacker for Hoban and will likely play that position in college, though he also could perhaps be a will linebacker for Ohio State. Eli Lee is a tackling machine, racking up huge tackle numbers for one of the top prep programs in the state of Ohio, Akron Hoban, at 6'3" and 230 pounds, and the way he runs could follow in the footsteps eventually of a guy like Cody Simon for the Buckeyes.
This report was brought to you by Safelite Auto Glass. I'm Matt Andrews on the Ohio State Sports Network from Learfield.
Hi, this is Paul Keels. This Buckeye season, don't let a broken windshield ruin your game plan. Safelite Auto Glass makes it easy to get your windshield fixed with their mobile glass shops all over Central Ohio. They can come to you anywhere, giving Buckeye fans more time for game time. OH? Man, I love that. Schedule at safelite.com. Safelite Auto Glass is a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Safelite repair, Safelite replace.
Libman makes a difference. The Libman Mop Crew is a part of our winning team. The Libman Mop Crew makes sure the hardwood is safe and clean for the players every game at the Schottenstein Center. No matter what kind of flooring you have at your home court, Libman has the tools to keep it clean. Our mops, brooms, and brushes are proudly family made in the USA. Visit Libman.com to see our whole lineup and for a store locator. That's Libman.com. Libman, proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
I used to love shooting hoops with my dad, who taught me great lessons beyond the game. He was the one who helped me open my first bank account. He told me, credit unions take care of you like a teammate and often have the best rates. That's why I've been a Credit Union of Ohio member for 40 plus years.
Make life more affordable at Credit Union of Ohio. With great rates on savings and loans, Credit Union of Ohio has been trusted by families for generations. Visit cuofohio.org to join today. That's cuofohio.org. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Lender.
For more than 35 years, Hyde Park Prime Steakhouse has been known by Buckeye Nation as serving the best steaks in the city. Our thick-cut, aged steaks have been a staple in Columbus with 3 locations in Upper Arlington, Dublin, and downtown. Hyde Park is proud to introduce our newly added wine room at the downtown Columbus location, where a new elegance in dining will surround you. And coupled with live entertainment every weekend, Hyde Park will be the perfect setting for any occasion or the perfect night out. Hyde Park is a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. Go Bucks!
Meet the new Monopoly Bonus Spectacular Scratch-Offs from the Ohio Lottery. Scratch-off greenhouses to reveal winning numbers for a chance at over $113 million in total cash prizes. That's a spectacular amount of winnings. 5 games from $1 to 20. Multipliers from 5 to 100 times. Chance bonuses and top prizes up to $1 million. When you play the Monopoly Bonus Spectacular Scratch-Offs, what you find under a greenhouse could change everything. Monopoly is a trademark of Hasbro. Lottery players are subject to Ohio laws and commission regulations. Play responsibly.
They're trained. They're fired up.
Let's do it.
When you need heat, they can't be beat. They're Ohio State's undefeated heating and cooling team. For plumbing, drain, heating, and cooling, there's only one team. The Waterworks. Better care, better value, better results. Call the Waterworks at 614-232-2222 or visit them online at thewaterworks.com. A proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for over 75 years. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
When General Sherman marched through Georgia, he was listening to this show.
Use your skills for good, young warrior.
This is Bishop and Friends.
You got it. Thank you. It's right here now. What do we got on the fan poll today, Reese?
Daily fan poll asks, how are you consuming Saturday's Blue Jackets Red Wings game at the Horseshoe? Your options are going to the game, watching it on TV, listening on the Fan, don't care.
Don't care.
Maybe we just offer 3 in some instances. I know, Elon gives you 4 for the X poll, but You don't have to add don't care for something as monumentous as this. But 60% say they don't care about the Stadium Series matchup. 52% of respondents say they're watching it on TV. 27% say they're going to the game. And 3% say they're listening on the Fan.
I think you could say this about, and I think this will truly be a once in a lifetime thing. You probably won't see this happen again, where you see, a game at Ohio Stadium. It's funny. One of the words that was so tossed around this week at the Combine that drove me nuts was the word generational. I think some people think generational is like every 3 years.
Nope.
No, a generation is a generation. It's 10 or 20 years.
Yeah.
So like truly a generational, if you think about like a generational athlete, that's like Tiger Woods or Michael Jordan or Tom Brady. Those are generational athletes. There can't be a generational athlete in every draft.
No.
So when somebody says
yearly,
that's not possible. So
annually.
So when somebody says, Abdul Carter's a generational defensive end. No, he's definitely not a Myles Garrett might be. I don't know. Maybe.
You still need a couple years post-career to really make that declaration.
Yeah, I think it's, to me, generational feels like, I think it's between 15 to 20 years.
Yeah, that works.
Somewhere in there.
But this is the inaugural Stadium Series matchup at Ohio State. And this is the first. This is like Ohio State and Tennessee. That was the first playoff game at Ohio Stadium.
Yeah.
So.
And I think it's just, there's so many places. Now, the Big House has had it just once, or have they had it twice?
At least once that I know of.
Yeah. That was kind of the tricky one. It's going to be cool. You guys are both going, right?
Yep.
We'll be there. I think the thing maybe I might be most excited for is to see Tyvis's reactions to his first NHL game.
That'll be his first NHL game.
He's never been to an NHL game.
Don Waddell was saying earlier this week that he expects about 30,000 similar situations where that's their first NHL game, their first Blue Jackets experience.
Well, it will be amazing, but then once you see how great it is there, go to Nationwide, and then it'll be...
Yeah.
Because the experience of actually watching hockey at Nationwide is about as good as you can get in terms of watching any sporting event. All right, time for 3 things on a Thursday. Hit it, guys.
1, 2, 3 things.
All right, number 1 for me, I think St. Elmo's is broken. I think it's broken. I think the experience is still an A+. I've always felt this way about the shrimp cocktail. It's just a lot of horseradish. That's all it is. The shrimp are good. They're crispy. They're good. They're everything you'd want in a shrimp cocktail, but it's just a lot of horseradish. So I think that. But like what we had from just a steak and cuts was just not what it should be at a place like that. And I think it's. And my guess is if you live in Indy, you probably don't go there much. So it's probably something that just tourists and people, convention goers, crush. It's still a great experience, but it just was not on the level of some of the steakhouses.
I'll make this my first thing. I remember a couple of years ago, I think it was the Combine that had at some of the tables in whatever convention center they were doing this at. They had a ton of tables just set up, and all over the tables were just those little almost medicine cups of the St. Elmo's sauce with a piece of shrimp in it.
Yes.
And I said, well, that feels very manufactured. And I wondered if they've just become that. Then that's the business. And so this, like, damn the steakhouse, we're just the cocktail sauce shrimp cocktail people.
I think you might be onto something.
Can you do a business based off of that in Indianapolis, Indiana?
They sling a lot of that cocktail sauce. I know that. You see it everywhere. But yeah, it's good, but it's just not as it used to be.
My first thing, we talked about this a little bit earlier today with the ridiculousness of Ohio State playing at 10:30 out on the West Coast against USC in basketball. I don't know why my mindset was so different with this Buckeye basketball game compared to a Blue Jackets game. Now, I know most people aren't staying up when the Blue Jackets are on the West Coast playing games, but it doesn't bother me as much. I rearrange my schedule and I make sure that I stay up and watch those. Last night, I was like, I'm going to make sure I watch this first half at least. And then at the end of the half, I fell asleep, and it was no more on my conscience. So I woke up this morning and saw that the Buckeyes won. I don't know where that difference is. I guess it's because Ohio State has always been regional, and it's not professional sports, and it's not national.
Yeah.
But I think I got to change that mindset and try to stay up and watch these Buckeye basketball games.
Last night was had to for you. The Jackets on the West Coast are want to for you.
Yeah, maybe, but it's just so different. Like, it's so weird. Ohio State playing USC, I guess, at a conference game.
Yeah, it's odd. It's going to take a lot of getting used to if we ever get used to it. So one of the things on the trip over to Indy, I didn't want to have to supercharge, so I took my wife's car, and so she was driving my car. Well, one of the things about driving my car is, one of the things about driving my car is there is an app that lets me know when things are neglected on my car. For example, if the doors are remained unlocked, or if you leave the key in it, or if there are windows that are down, or if, for example, you don't charge it when it needs to be charged. So, like, to be able to essentially, like, spy on her for 2 days and just have, like, physical proof of how inefficient she can be, the amount of driving she does, like, to have, I get these things. We're driving here, this window's down. I'm like, where are we going now? Like, what are we doing?
Windows down.
God. I know she hit a curb. I promise you she hit curbs.
Second thing for me, I didn't know they made a Shrek 3 and a 4.
Yeah.
Apparently a Shrek 5 is on its way December 23rd of 2026. Everybody's coming back for this one from the first two, and I only saw the first two. Zendaya is going to be cast as Shrek's daughter.
So that'll be Cameron Diaz and Mike Myers and Eddie.
Yep.
So look, that's money. That's what that is. That's printing money.
I mean, sometimes there's just too much, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's
5 of them?
They're redoing Jurassic Park again.
Could have stopped after 1 and 2.
Like, they just keep recasting it. There are no new ideas, is the reality.
My second thing, whatever you think about him as a human, boy, can Rick Pitino coach some basketball.
Yeah.
St. John's, they are 25-4 right now. 16-2 in the Big East Conference, and last night they locked up at least a share of their first Big East regular season title since the 91-92 season. That is over 30 years ago. I mean, Rick Pitino, he can coach some ball.
He might be the best of our lifetime.
Short list, right?
College basketball coach.
I mean, our lifetime, he has to be the best.
I think he's the best. Yeah. I know that there'll be, Coach K. But the one thing about Pitino, he did it at so many different places. Like, it wasn't like he stayed at Kentucky for 30 years. Like, he bounced around, and everywhere he goes, he wins.
He's got the chance this March to really cement it then. Because we're having the argument here. You throw Roy Williams and Bill Self in those conversations, Bob Knight, but then if he's able to do it at St. John's of all places, to Baker's point, 30 years after their last heyday, then you stop that argument.
Yeah. Finally, real quickly for me, thank God it's March. It's right around this winter about broke me. It almost broke me.
We'll be off the air tomorrow, or off the air every day at noon. But tomorrow at noon, the Blue Jackets are doing a cool thing where you'll be able to follow the cannon as it leaves Nationwide Arena and lands at Ohio Stadium. So noon, it's going to begin its journey at Front and Nationwide, travel down Olentangy River Road to Ohio Stadium on a flatbed truck. You can view the cannon along the route as it makes its way to the shoe.
My last thing, Rothman and Ice coming up, so make sure you stay tuned to them from noon to 3. Coming up at 12:30, the man that NHL agents voted a next up-and-coming GM. The Blue Jackets' own Rick Nash will join them, so make sure you stay tuned for that.
That'll be very, very good. That's coming up next. We're back tomorrow, Bishop and Friends, right here on The Fan.
An encyclopedic knowledge of sports and other random things you may or may not care about.
I think I found my mentor.
Rothman and Ice.
Weekdays from noon to 3.
The Fan.
Skyway is back at Skyline Chili for 2 weeks only. Order a Skyway today and get 50% extra cheese at no extra charge on your regular or large 3, 4, or 5-way at participating locations for a limited time.
That's the sound of a Mountain Dew. And that's you enjoying its refreshing citrus kick. That's a cool breeze suddenly whistling through your hair.
Whoa!
That's you realizing you're now on a mountain.
This is epic.
That's you stating the obvious. That's you stepping up to the plate. That's you winning your kickball game.
Yes, let's go.
That's you taking another sip of your Do the Do.
1877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car can be picked up as soon as the next day. Receive a tax deduction and vacation voucher.
1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Hey, it's Leslie from Pella Columbus.
I'm Wilson from that other window place.
Wilson, people are officially going crazy over our sleek, black-framed windows. They change the entire look of a home.
Leslie, nobody believes that just black frames can change the look of a home.
It's like when Superman put on his black-framed glasses and became Clark Kent.
Wait a second. Clark Kent is Superman? Are you messing with me right now?
Get the window that homeowners rated the leading window brand in Columbus at PellaColumbus.com.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Make this your year. Looking for a new career in the high-demand fields of IT, cybersecurity, and AI? Attend classes live online or on campus. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation today.
Financial aid is available to those who qualify.
We expect our information in real time. U.S. Med carries continuous glucose monitors, which provide real-time readings of blood glucose levels. U.S. Med is an approved provider for Medicare and over 500 private insurers. So call 888-665-0696 today for a free insurance and Medicare benefits check as easy as, that's 888-665-0696.
I had the worst dream last night. You were in a car crash and the kids and I were on our own. We had to move out of the house because I couldn't afford it anymore.
That's awful, hon.
My brother was saying he got life insurance from Ethos. With Ethos, it only took 10 minutes and he got $2 million in coverage for around $2 a day. It's all online. No medical exam. He just answered a few health questions right from his house.
Ethos, here we come.
Visit getethos.com. That's getethos.com.
Sample rate is a 10